And good morning. It is a Would You Rather Wednesday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. I am Glenn Clark. He's Griffin Bass. And hanging out with us in studio for the first hour of today's show, my buddy Tim Barbalace from 105.7 The Fan. Tim, now how does this work when you, do they now have to, when you walk around the hallways at 105.7, they walk to you and you say, good morning, talent? How does this work when you get a new gig? Do they have to address you appropriately? Is it like when you get a promotion, like in the military you get a promotion, they have to address you by your rank, of course. They have to say hey, good morning, Commander. How does that work when you get a promotion now over there?
You see, a couple people came up and congratulated me, but there's really no title
if
change.
I were you, I would ask for more respect than that.
Well, it was funny, Glenn. So during the pandemic, right when the sales staff ended up coming back, they separated the sales and programming.
I waited for that day when I worked in radio.
So they separated the bathrooms, and it said talent only. So that made me feel weird. I mean, that was well before I was, even a full-time on air.
Wait. I don't know if we should talk about the fact that you segregated bathrooms.
It was talent and sales.
Man. I'm not trying to get anybody in trouble. I really feel like you should demand, please address me by my full title, and then request that you be referred to as Sir Tim Barbalace or something like that. Now that you're no longer among the unwashed, now that you truly, and I think they should provide you a car, probably. I think they should provide you. They used to. When I first was at WHFS, they had 4 station vehicles, and I can't remember. It was something that was at the time, in 05, was very trendy, but it went away very quickly. Was there a brand of Kia that was trendy for a second? It was very slick looking, and it was trendy for a second in the mid-2000s, and then within about a year, no one would be caught dead driving one, and we had 4 of them.
Well, we don't have that. We have 3 Equinoxes. So when I started in promotions, we would drive them all over. There have been a couple times where my car's in the shop and I need a station vehicle. Yeah, let's go. And then, of course, they have the obnoxiously big vans.
Yes, with the wraps and the right.
I remember driving those for the first time around Towson, the circle and everything, and I was scared. Okay,
it's too much.
My first car was a Dodge Neon, and now I have a Mazda 3.
Yeah,
so
it's too much.
I'm used to driving go-karts.
It's too much. Yeah. Well, I think you should I think you should walk right in there, walk up to Sapienza and say, hey, I need respect. Sir Tim Barbalace now. So I think you should have a more official title.
Well, you know how Chuck is. So, of course, he's just giving me a bunch of crap for it. He's big time now. He's got the big head.
Right.
So Friday when
you didn't have a big head before, right? Yeah, seriously. What are we doing?
So Friday when we made the announcement, and you know how these things go.
For those that don't know, Tim is now no longer a producer at 105.7. He is now part of the cast of it's still Inside Access.
Inside Access. We're still waiting for the new imaging.
You should probably demand it's you should make sure that it has your name in it.
Well,
you should make sure change the name of the show.
Well,
and I would want it first. Yes. I would try to cash in on that. I would try to say it's make you the first name on the list is what I would ask for if I were you. I'm not trying to tell you how to live your life. It's what I would do.
Well, shouldn't it be like the Tim Barbalace show with Jason and Ken?
Right.
That kind of thing?
Yeah, what did those guys accomplish?
Yeah, come on.
Seriously.
Come on. I'm carrying it, right? But no, it's still Inside Access. We're still waiting for the new imaging rejoins, for people not in radio when you come back from break, Inside Access.
Not great timing.
Yes, right? Well, But we're still waiting for that. But Chuck, you know how these things go. When you make an announcement, and you've been in the business for a while, and I've been fortunate enough to have a lot of people that have helped me across the way, in the market, outside the market. So inevitably, when you do that thank you speech, there's too many to thank.
Correct.
Right? Because you're going to end up getting yourself in trouble for naming
Every time.
Yes.
Every time I've ever been in that situation, I've inevitably gotten an awkward email from somebody who was very butthurt. But the fact that 30 people saw me post something on Facebook and I didn't say thank you to them.
You're leaving someone out, and it's just... So to avoid that, and Ken was on vacation, I was watching his dog, which we could get to as well, because that was a total bleep show.
Awkward.
Total bleep show. I was
very
in the house.
Awkward.
But Jason was there, so Jason's helped me a lot, and there's so many others.
Wait a second, did he force you to stay in his... Don't you have your own house?
Yes, he forced me to stay at. We can get into that.
That's a very weird bit.
Because Saturday,
you do that with like a kid who's living with their parents, like
No.
that. Like if I needed somebody, I would ask Griffin because he's a kid. Like I would. He doesn't have his own house. He might enjoy throwing like an Animal House style party at my house while I was gone for the week, and then forgetting to clean it all up, and me having to point my finger. Oh, Griffin, I caught you. Like that's the way you do that. You don't ask a grown adult to leave their house to come to your house and stay at their house instead.
I love Ken.
Yeah.
I love Ken. He's a little odd when it comes to his dogs.
You could have just stopped it off.
Yeah, you can.
You could have just stopped there.
You can.
Yeah.
So the pinnacle of this, I went over not last Friday, the Friday before. I stayed at his house for 8 days. I have a puppy. She's 8 months old. Bruce is a rescue. They don't jive. I mean, Bruce bit me, bit her,
good.
and Ken was building Bruce up.
Of course, he named his dog after Bruce Springsteen. I love. Listen, white men, and I'm talking directly. We know each other well. White men of a certain age, still we know each other quite well. Bruce Springsteen is not a character trait. I love you. I even have gone to see Bruce Springsteen a couple of times. I sort of like his tunes. I went on a bachelor party to New Orleans, and we ended up seeing Bruce Springsteen. It is not a character trait. You have to have other things. Ken, I'm not speaking directly to you because you're one of the billion white men of a certain age who believe just saying the words Bruce. There was a movie that they made a couple years ago. It was called Blinded by the Light, and it was like about how these like Indian guys in England discovered Bruce Springsteen, and essentially like the crux of the movie was you can solve all of your problems in life just by listening to Bruce Springsteen. It was the most worthless film I've ever seen in my entire life.
Was it the Ken Wyman story?
Yeah, seriously.
Because here's the thing, you're lumping him into a billion white men.
Oof.
He's like the top 1% of those whites.
Maybe.
No.
Maybe.
He's been to 54.
You haven't met Drew Forrester.
Oh.
It's exactly as bad,
dude,
if not worse.
He's been to like 54.
Oh,
Springsteen.
100%.
It's
now look, white men.
He's part of a cult.
There's white men like me, a couple years younger than that. We had a Dave Matthews Band problem.
Oh, that's my uncle.
We went from white men of a certain age with Bruce Springsteen to then white men of a slightly younger age with Dave Matthews Band. I don't know what the next one was. I don't know if white men of a younger age than me have that type of obsession after
Do you think
that.
it's like a Zach Brown band?
Ooh,
at this point?
there's been a lot of that.
Yeah,
and don't get me wrong, again,
building.
decent tunes. Nobody's saying that there's anything wrong with Zach Brown, but not worth. That's the problem that I had to. At some point, I had to look myself in a mirror and say, Dave Matthews Band is not a character trait. I need to have other things in my life. I can still acknowledge that I like the music. I can still maybe every now and then go to a concert, but I have to have things that are going for me that aren't just a band.
Yeah,
it has to be something else.
You can't just lean back on that. You have a couple other white friends every Friday night drinking a couple Coors Lights, and you're jamming out to Bruce Springsteen. It has to be more than that.
You're hitting home. You're hitting home in a lot of ways.
But let me get to the rest of the
all right,
story real quick.
We only have an hour here. The Orioles played last night. It was a thriller.
Well, you know. The lead, Ken, Glenn. Ken.
Yeah, we'll get We're not on real radio. Right, we can do a lot of things that you can't do on 105.7.
So, Ken, on Saturday, I told him ahead of time. I was going to my parents' house who have a pool. I was having some friends over. I didn't want to leave Bruce at his house all day because I was doing the prudent move. So I bring him over. There's a couple other dogs, bunch of friends, and Bruce is not reacting well. He's snapping at people, so I put him inside. I end up getting hammered because I'm at a pool party.
Okay.
And Ken knows this.
Okay.
So I don't check my phone for probably 5 or 6 hours because I'm in a pool and I'm drunk. Ken proceeds, this is no BS, Ken proceeds to text me 7 straight times, call me 5 times, leave a voicemail.
Just about the dog?
Yes. He blew up Jason multiple times. He wanted Jason to drive to my parents' house. Jason's like, dude, go bleep yourself.
What the?
So then he's talking about having his dad go to his own house, and Jason's like, bro, he told you he's at his parents'. And he told Jason, I feel so helpless, and I'm so concerned. He ended up Facebook messaging my dad. This is no joke. Facebook messaged my dad.
That is really great.
And saying, I'm so concerned. Can you take a picture of Brucey? takes a picture of Brucey with me, and then he has the audacity, Glenn, to say, "Is that a current picture?"
They wants you to hold up a newspaper.
Yes. So we proceeded to just wreck him, drag his ass on Monday.
100%.
We brought him on Tuesday, and he was saying the lady who he was with on the trip, he had to like kick her out of the room because he was so stressed out.
What is wrong with this man?
It's insane.
What is wrong? All right, so
the Orioles.
When I first got into radio, I was working. I was helping out. I was on the Ed Norris show. I was the sports guy for the Ed Norris show back when it was I don't even know what it was, a guy talk show, whatever you want to call it. I was a sports guy, and I would sit in and I would do the show with those guys. But I was a kid. I was 21. I have no idea why I was, in the position that I was in. Ed knew that I was not being paid, I was 21 years old. I was getting paid what I was getting paid. And he said, hey, and I don't know, because I know he still goes down to Sarasota a lot. I was just talking to him about being down in Sarasota. But he said, I'm flying down to Sarasota every week. And I think it was Fort Tampa at the time. I don't remember where it was. I need to get to the airport on Friday. If you'll drop me off on Fridays and pick me up on Sundays, I'll pay you. It was something I would like far more than what this job was actually worth. Like it was something like $200 a week for a ride to the airport and back. And I was like, okay, like yeah, it's $200. I can go piss away on booze at a bar this weekend. That sounds great. Of course I'll do that. What he didn't know was that I was also using his car every weekend. Like, I had a crap car because I was 21 and broke. I don't even remember what it was that he had, but it was very nice. I'm pretty sure there was a client that had provided it, and so if you let me drive your car to the airport, which, again, was also part of the deal, I could drive his car to the airport, leave my car at the radio station. I'm going to take that car for the rest of the weekend. Why would I drive my own car? That's your problem now. And, of course, he had to figure it out because clearly his gas mileage would reflect the fact that somebody was driving his car during the course of the weekend. 1 week I did completely forget that I was supposed to pick Ed back up at the airport on Sunday evening. Completely forgot and proceeded to get hammered. Like, hammered. It was a nice day of day drinking, which, by the way, was what I did with Ed most days, too, right? Like, I was piss drunk to the point where he starts frantically calling me because he's at the airport and where the F am I? Well, I'm sitting at some bar in Towson somewhere, unable to help him whatsoever. So I answer, and I have thankfully, Ed and I have been all friends for a long time. So I'm like, dude, I have to be straight with you. I am at a bar. I'm drunk. I utterly forgot that I was supposed to pick you up. Here, I'll figure it out. I'll pay you back for the cab that you have to take, whatever. And Ed, to his credit, said, and he knows that he was famous, he's like, ask around the bar. Somebody will be willing to come drive down and pick me up. And he was right. It did not take long for me to say, who wants to ride with me to go pick up Ed Norris? And, of course, Ed was famous/infamous at the time. And there were like 6 dudes. Dude, I'll do that to hang out with Ed Norris. So a stranger, a complete and total stranger, drove me in Ed Norris's car down to the airport to pick up Ed Norris and drive him back.
Only Ed Norris has that type of pool.
He does have a lot of pool, bro. He has a lot of pool.
Baltimore.
All right, today's show is brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. It's the best place to be for watching and betting in all the games. The bet pads are there now, so you don't even have to go back up to the kiosks or the window. You can just sit on your ass for hours at a time and bet all day long in the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. All right, so there's a couple things we're doing this morning. One, Tim is here. We have, Griffin has procured the hot dogs, the beer, the cups, all things needed. We will try to do the hot dog straw thing. Now, a couple of things.
It's going to work. It's going to work.
I'm aware that because we waited a day, like 60 other shows have already tried it. I am aware. You guys have messaged me about it. I see that. I made the statement that I made. This was not about being avant-garde. This was about me not being able to judge until I've done it. This is not me thinking I was so super smart. I'll do the hot dog thing. It'll be the best bit in the history of radio. No, it's about maybe the guy is secretly a genius. And while we're all calling him a terrorist and saying he should be on the no-fly list, I would at least like to know before I pass judgment. It's something I don't kink shame. Whatever it is that you're into, that's what you're into.
Don't yuck his yum.
Thank you. What was that?
Don't yuck his yum.
I don't think I've ever heard that before.
Really?
I just realized, what is that?
You can use it.
That's just to be whatever somebody else is into. You don't say it's.
I mean, it could be.
It's what they're into.
Yeah.
I actually really like. I can't. Is that a thing? Like young people use that term or?
Yeah.
Is it yours?
No,
Is it?
no, it's not me.
Right,
I'm not
right,
that clever.
I like it. I like
Yuck
it.
is yum.
I just realized I'm very old and I've never heard that before. So it's.
Have you heard that?
I don't think I have.
Maybe it's
white
just my
man of
friend.
a certain age.
Yes.
Certain. It was Bruce Springsteen, then it was Dave Matthews Band, then it's Don't Yuck Is Yum. That's the way it's going. I feel like it was I feel like the next one after me is actually the pop punk. I feel like it's like the
early mid 2000s,
like the When We Were Young festival.
I'm not gonna lie, that's me.
Yeah, but
me.
by the way, I still dabble. Like
Yeah.
a buddy of mine actually just messaged me and was like, "Hey, dude, I've got an extra ticket to When We Were Young," and I was like, "Oh my god,
Yes.
oh my god, My Chemical Romance and Jimmy Eat World, and oh my god, Taking Back Sunday. Oh, I'm gonna be there all day."
I want to go to a Killers concert in September.
There you go. There you go.
I'm here for it.
I think that was the next on the list. I think after it went to the pop punk. Anyway, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. We will attempt and see how it goes. And by the way, I think it's going to suck, but I just want to know. That's all it is. I just want to know.
I was afraid you were going to try it last night while you were at the game. Like you just wouldn't be able to help yourself.
We'll talk about what happened at the game last night. We'll talk about it. All right. Also later on in the show, from ESPN, David Schoenfield and Joon Lee, two of their baseball writers, both going to join us. David Schoenfield wrote a lengthy piece about how the Orioles have done this season. Joon Lee was up in Williamsport as the Orioles played the Red Sox on Sunday night. We will talk to both those guys. Tim, the thing about last night, before I get to I had an interesting night at the ballpark. The game itself, fascinating, because it's hard for me to figure out where the line is between this was an amazing win versus what a spectacular fail it is for the White Sox to have had 13 at-bats with guys in scoring position and produce one run from those scenarios. Like, I don't know where the sliding scale is between this was an amazing, brilliant performance from the Orioles to win this baseball game versus, oh my God, how incompetent are you to be in those situations and not be able to score any runs in those situations. I have no idea where those two meet. What I do know is it's a game the Orioles had no business winning whatsoever, and yet they won it anyway, so it was a lot of fun.
And that's where it was going to go. You have all of that runners in scoring position failure, and you have a Cy Young candidate on the mound in Dylan Cease, and you kind of felt, look, they got that home run, the White Sox 2-0. Austin Voth was kind of shaky throughout, but then the Orioles responded.
Austin Voth put two men on base every inning.
Yes.
His whip last night had to be 70.
Yeah.
Like,
and look, man, we were talking about this on Inside Access yesterday. You can easily make the argument that Voth, ever since they claimed him from the Nats where he was terrible, had an ERA of over 10, they converted him into a starter. He's probably been their best starter, and it's been such a surprise. And look, last night he didn't have his A game. I think that goes without saying.
But yet he was an out away from a quality start.
Quality start, exactly. Yes. But Dylan Cease gave up that 3-run shot to Mountcastle. They made him work in that inning, 28
Well, the
pitches
story
right
was
there.
Adley's at bat. The story of that, as much, I don't take anything away from
8
Mountcastle because clearly none of this
Yes.
happens if he doesn't hit the home run.
Yes.
The story was Adley's at bat. It changed the course of the game. And that's when we attempt to define the greatness. I saw somebody, a baseball writer in Boston this morning, trying to compare Adley Rutschman and Alejandro Kirk and was like, hey, look, for all the hype about Adley Rutschman, look at what Alejandro Kirk is doing because he's hitting 300 this season. To take nothing away from the season that Alejandro Kirk is having. He's been very good. But what's missed in that is that you can't define what Adley Rutschman is doing sheerly by numbers. There's no way to define how much he has changed things by working at bats like that. They won that game last night because Adley Rutschman saw 9 pitch, whatever it was in that first 8 pitches in that first at bat, continued to work it, forced a walk, made Dylan Cease labor a little bit, made him a bit uncomfortable, and it ultimately leads to Ryan Mountcastle hitting a 3-run homer.
Look, we're really into Baseball Savant on the show, and that they have all the in-depth analytics, and this is a guy that's 70-plus games into his major league career, and he's already leading and up there in the highest percentiles in the league as a rookie, as a catcher, and it was an interesting question that we were kind of going back and forth with yesterday. Is Adley Rutschman right now better than Matt Wieters? And it's intriguing because, look,
Right.
I compared their first 72 games, and Adley led him in every category besides batting average, and I believe Wieters had one more RBI.
Okay.
So Adley's on-base percentage right now is vastly better than any on-base percentage that Wieters ever had.
Sure.
And look, this isn't to take away or diminish Wieters' career. He was a 4-time All-Star,
So
2-time
such
Gold
an awkward
Glove.
conversation.
It is, right? Where you got the Jesus and cleats, Mauer with power, but he never lived up to that, and I think that's why people probably view him in a different light. But to Rutschman, he is one of those rare guys, not just in baseball, but in sports. When he was drafted 1-1 in 2019, he was viewed, you're the savior, you're the face of this rebuild. And look, he scuffled in the first 20 games, but since then,
he's been unbelievable.
And the patience that he's had at the plate, but also, Glenn, his pitch framing. I mean, think of how many strikes he has stolen. You saw it over the weekend. Where
Look, and I hate that that's a thing that we judge catchers by, because I'd rather a strike be a strike and a ball be a ball, right? Like that's I would rather there be the robot umpire thing. I'd rather be the automatic strike zone thing. But until there is, we can't get around it. Until there is, we can't escape the fact that pitchers can have greater faith in throwing certain pitches because Adley Rutschman is there behind the plate to work on it, and that it is absolutely getting in the head of hitters. It is 100% impacting hitters. Guys are going to get thrown out because they're getting so pissed off
over the weekend
at the calls that Adley Rutschman is able to get for his pitches.
And I agree with you wholeheartedly. Robot umps, you want it. You want the correct call. In anything, you want the correct call. But that being said, the Orioles lose a big advantage
100%.
when robot umps come.
100%.
So it is kind of...
So now you're changing your mind. Now I don't. I'm out. I'm going to fight like two. You know what? I was wrong all along. We need that human element in baseball.
No. I'm still all for
what
robo umps. But look, it does for the time being. And look, there's multiple takeaways from the game as well, where I was all for them trading away Trey Mancini, Jorge Lopez. I think you're beginning
you're definitely
to see
they're in trouble. This
lack of Lopez.
As exciting as last night was, they're in a bind tonight. They're in a serious bind tonight. Felix Bautista is not an option tonight.
Yes.
And what he did was unbelievable. Effectively wild, working out, getting 2 strikeouts, straining the bases. It was incredible. But you damn well better have won that game last night, because you're now going in with a time behind your back tonight, which doesn't mean that they can't win tonight. It just means they're going to have to be Head, who I still don't remember if it's Lewis or Lucas. Every time, I swear to God, it's Lewis Head. Yeah. Lewis Head is going to have to pitch tonight. Like, they are thin now. This is what happens when you are confident that you can make it work with Joey Crable, until every time you put Joey Crable into a high-leverage situation, you're reminded, there's a reason he was in our B bullpen. There's a reason he was not one of the A guys.
Yeah, now it's at a situation where you kind of got to put DL Hall on the fast track. Hopefully you're going to get him once rosters expand in September, so you can add some relievers. I mean, knock on wood, maybe Grayson makes his debut. But with the bullpen, like you were saying, it's teetering, and even Hyde admitted it. Kevin Brown on the broadcast with Masson yesterday, I thought, made a good point. I mean, there's no secret that going into last night's game, the White Sox were a game and a half behind the Orioles, so this is a series that you need to take. You're kind of playing with house money at that situation where Kevin was like, Hyde's sort of managing this like a playoff game, because you're trying to steal a game where you're going in, Dylan Cease is on the mound. You aren't necessarily expecting to win that game. So to steal game 1, but now you're robbing Peter to pay Paul. Felix Bautista, no way he's pitching tonight. And also, I don't know if you made this a would you rather question. If I got hit by a 102 mile per hour in my elbow, just end me. Just
God.
Old Yeller, like, take me out back. I'm done.
I will, and I hate having this conversation too, but it is Tony La Russa that we're talking about. The question was posed to me by a friend of mine last night. Do you think obviously there's no way for them to think that Felix Bautista, there was 2 runners on base, there was a 2-strike count. Yeah. There is clearly no intent whatsoever, but is Tony La Russa...
That was his first hit batter.
Correct. Is Tony La Russa so insanely old school that he's going to say, look, you took one of our guys out. We're going to throw it. We're throwing at you. That's the way it's going to go. Somebody's wearing one tonight. And I was like, Jesus Christ.
He probably would.
You know?
He probably would.
Probably the case. All right, two things really quickly because we got to get to a break. Then we're going to do the hot dogs, and we do have Would You Rather Wednesday. Number one, were you disappointed about Gunnar Henderson not getting the call yesterday? Are you confident that it was, hey, we just don't want to have him face Dylan Cease, and he's still going to be up at some point this week?
So when the reports were circulating at the beginning of the day yesterday, and you saw that he wasn't in Jacksonville, I think it wasn't. People put
which, as it turns out,
yes,
he was
in but at the time you put two and two together. Right. Okay, he's going to be up either today or tomorrow. Like you were saying, tough ask for Gunnar to make his debut against a Cy Young candidate. But now he is in Jacksonville. So a couple things at play here. Orioles are playing the game. They want him to maintain his rookie eligibility for next year. That way, if he finishes in the top 3 of Rookie of the Year, they get that draft pick. So you need 131 at-bats or fewer. At this point, you project it out. It'd be very close. You can have him sit a couple days. My guess is they have him fly from Jacksonville to Houston for the weekend series Friday. Maybe he makes his debut then. I am 1,000,000% confident in this. He's going to be activated on the 40-man, activated on the roster August 31st. Because if he's not, he would not be eligible for the playoffs. You have to be on the 40-man roster. So by August 31st, slam dunk. But my gut tells me Friday.
This is where it's disappointing to me that the baseball people and the people leading the organization can't have a better conversation and say, hey, look, can we get a plan for this and then try to maximize it for the best of business? And I say that look, the 12,000 people that showed up last night, it was a great crowd. It was a great atmosphere. It was 12,000 people that showed up last night. And it's not going to be more than that tonight. It's not going to be more than that on Thursday.
Missed opportunity.
It would be nice. They didn't do it with DL Hall. They botched the Adley Rutschman thing by doing it on Preakness Day and the whole thing, right? Like, it would just be nice if the two would be more willing to work together. Now, I get it. If ultimately you're in a bind and you need a player and you're in the middle of a playoff race, I get it. That wins out over doing what's best for business. It would just be nice, understanding what this fan base has been through over the years, to try to work with the fan base to say, we know there's a handful of you. It's not, you can't replicate Adley, obviously, but there would still be a couple thousand more people that would be interested in being there for Gunnar Henderson's first game. It would be nice if you could work together to provide some heads up, the opportunity for a couple thousand more people to be there for that game. It would be nice. When I say this, it's not criticism. It's not you're failing. It just would be nice for the fan base to provide that opportunity.
Look, I'm close with a lot of guys in the PR staff, but to be fair, like you're saying, they've had multiple missed opportunities this year. The Adley thing, Preakness Day or not, and since if you did it Friday, you did it Sunday, I wish I had the number in front of me, but when Wieters was announced, and they did a couple days in advance.
5 days.
I want to say they had a walk-up of like $10,000.
It was insane.
Or something
100%.
And they drew over 40,000. I think they would have had something similar, at least 30, 35, which, look, they've been getting out on weekend series recently. And the DL thing, Gunnar, obviously, they're about to go on a road trip here, so it's not going to happen unless they do it.
It would be nice for them to announce today.
Yes,
Gunnar's going to play tomorrow.
Yes,
it's not going to you're not going to have 40,000 people at the game.
It's a weekday,
but it would give the opportunity for a larger crowd. It would give the opportunity for a little more oomph for a game that otherwise wouldn't have it. That's all. I'm not trying to be too critical. It's just, it would be nice. That's all.
I completely agree. And
are you at all worried about the one of the things we talked about is the expectation that people are talking about Gunnar Henderson like he's a trade deadline acquisition. Like, well, yeah, they didn't get anything, but this is their trade deadline acquisition. And he's a 21-year-old who's never played Major League Baseball before. And we just saw a 24-year-old who was the top prospect in all of baseball, and to your point, struggle for the first 20 games of his career. Are you at all worried that there is too much hype for Gunnar Henderson coming up at this moment that fans are setting themselves up for disappointment?
Yes. And I will say this. And to be fair, Ramon Urias, he's been better with his glove as of late. I think at a minimum, he should be an upgrade defensively at third base. I think that's fair to say over Rougned Odor, over an Urias. Now, batting-wise, look, Odor and Urias have struggled as well. And Gunnar, he's gotten some starts at second base. He's gotten some starts at first, third base. So they're trying to work on that positional versatility. Look, am I expecting him to come up here and just mash immediately? No, that's not fair to him. He's 21 years old. I get that he's had a phenomenal year between Bowie, between Norfolk, but I think he can provide a boost. Can he put them over the top?
Yeah,
that's not
and that's
fair.
my point along. I'm not saying he shouldn't be up. Of course, bring him
Yes,
up. It's
yes.
To me, it's more about the way we talk about him.
Well,
we need to be careful when we portray someone to be, well, yeah, the offense has been struggling of late, but they're about to get Gunnar Henderson. Okay, I like Gunnar. Let's settle down a little bit.
Well, Glenn, let's be fair. It happened with Adley, even more so, where fans set this.
Well, he needed to be Mike Piazza and Pudge Rodriguez amalgamation of both, right? Correct.
Unreachable goals for Adley Rutschman from jump, hitting the ground running, and he's
basically done that. Yes,
he's delivered
correct.
in the last 50 games.
Yes.
But remember the outcry
100%.
in the first 20 games, like, oh, is this guy for real? Should they send him down? Happened with Mountcastle a year ago, where he was struggling at the beginning of the season, where it's very quick, and fans have to have patience, because to have a guy, especially in Major League Baseball, people don't understand the jump from single A, double A, triple A to the majors. It's immense, and especially a 21-year-old. I mean, people are equating it to a Manny Machado, where it's.
But that offense was not
either.
struggling the way this offense had been struggling for the last couple of weeks. They had an Adam Jones and a Nick Markakis, and this was not an offense that needed someone to inject life. In fact, what Manny could do defensively was the biggest reason why you were bringing him up at that point. All right, when we come back in, we're going to do the hot dog straw bit. I will tell you about some interesting things. If you didn't see it on Twitter last night, it was an interesting night for your boy at the ballpark. And we're going to play Would You Rather Wednesday. Tim Barbalace from Inside Access on 105.7 The Fan is here with us in studio. It is a Would You Rather Wednesday edition of Glenn Clark Radio.
That first sip. That first bite. Start your day off right with a delicious breakfast at Royal Farms. Choose from a fantastic selection of fresh Royal Farms breakfast sandwiches and top it off with a rich hot cup of the freshest coffee in the world. At Royal Farms, breakfast is available day and night. It's the freshest breakfast in the world. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
Swagger is a daily fantasy sports site created for sports fans who want some skin in the game and a real shot at winning. Forget plus-minus odds, Swagger uses points for a better way to understand probabilities. If you're tired of losing because of one bad pick, with Swagger, you don't need to be perfect to win. You just create a lineup of 4 to 10 simple player props and score points for the ones you get right. So you can be half right and all right with Swagger. Swagger offers the most player props and biggest payouts of any DFS site, as much as 50 times your buy-in. Plus, you can play all the major pro sports, including your favorite local teams. If you're ready to play, visit playwithswagger.com/pressbox to sign up, and Swagger will give you $10 free to try them out. Plus, they'll match your first deposit 100% up to $100. It's free money to play with Swagger. Swagger, daily fantasy for all fankind. Playwithswagger.com/pressbox.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now. On the cover, Bo Smolka profiles Ravens tight end Mark Andrews' path to NFL stardom, from his late decision to play the sport full-time through having to overcome type 1 diabetes and more. Also, inside, we introduce you to football players at Maryland, Navy, Towson, and Morgan State. And we give you everything you need to know for betting football this season. Press Box is available for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farm stores. And you can always find the entire edition, as well as the best daily coverage of the Demos, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today.
Sports betting has come to Maryland, and we're ready to help you win some money. Tune in for Simply the Bets every Tuesday morning at 11:40. FanDuel Sportsbook GM Leon Twyman and VSiN's Aaron Oster join the guys every week to give you all of the info you need and offer you a few winners. And every other Thursday at 11:40, tune in for Weekend at Bookies as Andrew Stecca and Alloy Sports' Brad Kronthal help make you some money for the weekend. So come win some money with us on Simply the Bets every Tuesday and Weekend at Bookies every other Thursday. Brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. Listen at PressBoxOnline.com/radio. Watch at YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline.
The 2022 Birdland Summer Music Series presented by Miller Lite continues on Saturday, September 10th with the Struts post-game concert. After the O's take on the Boston Red Sox, stay to watch the Struts perform live from the infield. Concert admission is open to all fans who attend the game, with the option to add special on-field access for just $25. With hit singles like Kiss This and Coulda Been Me, this is one Saturday night at the Yard you can't miss. Buy now at Orioles.com/music.
Don't forget that full episodes of the show are available for free on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and YouTube. But warning, you get what you pay for. You're listening to Glenn Clark Radio.
I'm not going to lie. I had a gas station hot dog phase in my life. Like, I want to say early in college, I would go get gas, and I'd walk in. This is before you would pay with a credit card, when you would pay with cash. That's, the age I was. And I would be like, oh, yeah, they got some hot dogs. And so they look great. And I was just a fat ass. So I'd be like, before in the afternoon, like, I could go for a hot dog, right? I'm going to dinner that night. I could just go for I went through a phase where there were a lot of gas station hot dogs in my life. I went through, or anything on a roller. Taquito, whatever it was.
I was a big taquito.
Like, those look good. I'll go for it.
I never went through a gas station hot dog phase. Like you said, I was more of a taquito guy. Something that we have been doing recently at each ballpark, just getting the craziest hot dog
that you can find. I don't mind that.
That's cool. My family, we just started this 2 years ago, so a tradition for us is, of course, 4th of July, watching the Nathan's hot dog eating contest.
The greatest American champions.
So we have done that multiple times in the family. And
okay.
I also, do you know Lucy Burge?
She's into betting. Yeah.
So we are doing a hot dog eating contest a week from Thursday. So
who's we?
Me and her.
Oh boy.
Yeah. She is very confident, and she said.
So I used to do these stunts every year.
Yeah.
I don't know what do you care? I guess the first question: do you care about this? Like, is it important to you to win? Is there something at stake in all of this?
I don't know if I could go on.
Okay.
That would be an embarrassment if I lose.
The problem we would do is when we used to do these, we would do them for charity, right? Like, donate $10 for every we did hot dogs one year, but then we would evolve based on whoever our sponsor, like chicken wings, whatever. We just did a million different versions of this every year around the 4th of July. One year, I remember it was Asian Zing wings from the wing store, and I was flying to Paris that night. And I swear to God, the Newark airport bathroom had more puke in it.
It hasn't recovered.
I don't think there's any chance. It is unpleasant doing these things.
So I've only ever done one eating contest.
Yes.
And I'm peak puberty, 15, 16, where it's like you can just
eat
correct.
Anything. Yes, you're a
put
tank.
it away.
Yes.
And it was a place in Ocean City, ice cream spot. 8 scoops of ice cream.
That's too much.
A quarter.
That's entirely your stomach.
A quarter can of whipped cream.
What are you doing?
2 bananas.
What is the point of all of
toppings?
this?
We're still on the wall, Ken. It was me and my cousin, and you feel like absolute ass at the end of it, but we did it, so I'm 1 for 1.
No, there is a when in Rome thing. Like, there is something to be, like, I remember our friend Bradley Bozeman calling and saying, hey, I'm in Amarillo. And I was like, well, dude, are you going there? Are you going there? He was like, yeah, we're going to go for dinner. I said, are you doing it? He said, I don't know. I'm like, bro, how are you going to live with yourself if you go there and you don't try it? And he was like, yeah, I guess you're right. And, of course, he accomplished it. And so I called him the next morning. Nikki picks up, and she's like, yeah, he's still in the bathroom.
Well, dude, how right. Wasn't it some stupid, like a 30-ounce
74-ounce steak and all of the sides? and a potato. And, I mean, it's insane, that deal. All right, anyway, the moral of this is I say I had a hot dog phase because here's you can put that image. Go ahead and obviously a hot dog straw guy has captured the attention of the nation. I think, like everybody else, it's probably he's a terrorist. He's a psychopath. He should be on a no-fly list, and he should have been arrested immediately. But before I say that with confidence, I need to try it. It's the don't yuck
his yum.
Don't yuck his yum. I need to know. I need to know. Maybe the man is truly a genius and has discovered something that we will carry with us for the rest of our lives. So I need to know. So Griffin went out this morning, wandered to our neighborhood Royal Farms right here down the street. You see right there on those plastic cups. Unfortunately, our area Royal Farms cannot sell beer. That's not an option, so we got the beer from somewhere else. It's not important. They're not a sponsor, but we just decided to go with a generic light beer. We assume that's what this gentleman I find it very odd to think that he was doing this with like a heavy IPA or something like that. I assume he did it with a generic light beer that was available at Yankee Stadium. Or was it it was the Yankees?
I know it was Yankee
Stadium.
Yes.
I know they're playing each other right now. I just don't remember where it was. So we're going to try it, and we'll report our findings. I think we're going to say this is nothing. Here's my bet, and I don't know what you're expecting, Tim. I'm betting that this will be irrelevant. I don't think we're going to say this is the grossest thing we've ever. I just think we're going to say there is no reason why anyone will ever need to do this.
Oh, it's a one and done. I mean, I'm fully confident in that. I tend to think it's going to be nasty, right? Because you have like the savory, and then I don't know what you would say beer is. Like it's not savory sweet.
It's definitely not savory sweet. No,
so it's I don't know, man.
So
Griffin, it's been a weird year for the ballpark.
The innards don't really come out when you poke
you got to work a little bit here.
Like I got it through. Oh, there it is. There's some innard right there. There you go.
This reminds me of a Capri Sun where it just doesn't.
Yeah. What are you doing at the bottom of the? What are you doing? You got to go up from the bottom, Tim. Look at that. Look at what I did. That's perfect. I got myself a hot dog straw.
This is
Griffin. Take more pictures. Make sure you're taking pictures. I'm not trying to. I know you want to do it too. I just need you to take more pictures for this to go up on the old socials.
Now, are you sucking the hot dog out of the straw? Because I have some.
I don't know. I dangled it. I pulled the innards out and dangled it. By the way, I will always love a delicious hot dog. I want to make that abundantly clear. There will never be a day where I don't enjoy a hot dog. So here again, this will be great. I can already tell this is not an effective straw. Like you don't feel air coming through. You just feel more hot dog juice.
I mean, I have mine in like a shotgun position of a beer, so I don't know.
Let me see. I'm going to try to go back through it.
Yeah,
the other way.
might.
I might.
That's
try
what
to,
I did. I went in.
You want to go the other
went
way?
Through a couple times.
I just think that we need to make it a more effective straw.
Yeah.
All right, hang on a second. This is why I get paid the big bucks. Is for.
Okay. All right. I feel more confident about this one.
All right, hang on a second. All right, now I'm starting to feel like it's more like a straw. Should we go through one more time to widen the hole? You need a nice wide hole. Everybody always says that, right?
Yeah.
All right, one more time.
Going through one more time won't hurt.
One more time. We'll go through it. Oh boy.
Wiggle it around.
I gotta be honest with you. Getting those innards of the hot dog, that's pleasant. Imagine somebody tuning in for the first time today. Imagine John Colson is out on a sales meeting right now. And it's like, hey, we think you guys should sign up to be a part of Glenn Clark Radio for the fall. And they're like, oh, I don't know what Glenn Clark Radio is. Show it to me. And he flips over. It's us sucking on hot dogs. And he's like, it's not like that every day. All right, hang on. One more time. One more time. I've gone back and forth twice now. I've gone back and forth. You want to make it look like I'm doing a thing here? You want to get like a... Oh my God! It really does look like I'm bringing the hot dog to completion right now. It just shot innards out at me. All right. All right.
I like the hole I've made.
You think you've got an effective? I like your hole too.
I
Griffin.
like my hole as well.
I like your hole too, Tim. Just normalized bros telling each other they like their holes.
Just guys being dudes.
There was a moment on the light rail last night after the game where there were some inebriated 18-year-olds.
Sure.
And one of them was passed out on his bro's shoulder. And it just made me wistful for being young. I was like, oh, I love this. I miss it. All right, so we're confident. We're good with our holes.
Yes. We're going in.
Now, here's the problem with the size of the cup. You can't
Oh.
Okay, now I got two things to say. First,
it's not as terrible as I
it's
thought
not
it
bad
would be.
it's not bad at all. If you get yourself a nice wide hole, the straw actually does work.
No, my straws. I probably should have a wider hole, but I will say it's coming through.
Yeah, she was telling me that the other day.
Yeah.
She was like, the problem with Tim is that his hole isn't wide enough.
It's nice.
It's about this.
It's kind of like the Old Bay beer.
It's not something I'll ever need to do again.
No.
I don't know what the scenario was by which this man came across this concept, but it's not the worst thing I've ever tasted in my life. It's not even in the top 10 of the worst things I've ever tasted in my life.
No, I would definitely agree with that. I thought coming into this that I might have like acid reflux, like kind of gag. Kind of like a one sip and done.
One of the things here is that I don't like beer through a straw. You know who drinks their beer? Rita drinks her beer through a straw.
That's
right?
Yeah.
Psychopath. She should be on a no-fly list.
And Rita's like as cool as it gets.
Correct. And yet
that's-
she drinks her beer through a straw like a psycho.
Yeah, that's a dweeb
Bougie. Anyway. So it's not adding enough to the beer.
No.
Nor is it effective enough of a way to consume the beer that it really works for me. But truth be told, I don't hate it.
Here's the other thing. I mean, how long would it take you to
Drink a
the
beer this way?
through
It's
this?
impossible.
Yeah,
it's
it's
impossible.
not-
Now the real question,
Maybe that's the idea, is because you don't want to buy
It's about
seven.
pacing.
Yeah, you don't want to buy $7 $15 beers.
So this is your way to.
Yeah, this is your way.
I gotta
Taking
tell
your
you.
time. You enjoy a hot dog and a beer.
I gotta tell you. I think the key is to get a nice wide hole.
Yeah.
You really got to work that, right? Yeah, it's not anything. Now, to me, the question is, how is the hot dog after it's soaked in the beer for a little while? Because, of course, everybody enjoys a nice beer brat, right? Is the trick of all of this that it's really just about soaking the hot dog in the beer to get a beer-flavored hot dog at the end of the day? Is that really what this is about? So I'm confident that we've done everything we needed to do as far as attempting the straw. So now, to me, it's about tasting the hot dog. Griffin, this is definitely worthy of photographs. This is definitely worthy of.
It's not bad.
Fine. It's fine. I'm not going to prefer a beer-soaked hot dog to just a hot dog. It's fine. That's all it is. It's fine.
Oddly enough, because if you think about it, it's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I prefer the beer hot dog as opposed to the beer straw with the hot dog.
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
I think the idea of just dunking your hot dog in the beer and then eating the hot dog, that works for me more than attempting the beer straw. The beer straw thing is just nothing. It's just nothing. There's nothing there.
It's nothing. And a big pet peeve for me, and I'm going to sound bougie in saying this, I don't like working for my food. I don't like working for my beer.
You know what? I'm with you on this.
So
this is eternally my problem.
Yeah.
I'm going to eat leftovers cold because when I'm hungry, I don't want to wait 2 minutes to warm them up. How long are you waiting? You're hungry now. Like, imagine waking up and I'm like, I really could go for some food before I go to bed. And you're going to sit there and wait 15 minutes in order for your food to be ready? The hell with that. I've never.
Way too much work. I've never done it.
Never.
And I'm also a huge cold pizza fan.
I enjoy I enjoy most cold foods. I enjoy cold spaghetti. I enjoy cold. I'm not saying I enjoy it more.
Okay.
I'm not saying I prefer it.
Okay.
I'm saying that if I go to the fridge and there's some leftover spaghetti and I just have a hankering for something, a bite of something very quickly, I could just grab some cold spaghetti and meatball and I would be perfectly fine with that. Most foods I'm good with, not frozen, but just cool, like cool. There's a way that I don't know what I'm doing here. I ate a whole hot dog.
I know you're gonna.
Yeah.
I don't mind it. I don't mind that. That part I don't mind. I'm telling you.
10 o'clock hot dog.
I could get used to a beer-soaked hot dog.
Yeah, that's what
I can get behind that.
I can.
You know what I would say? I don't think I would prefer it to mustard. But if I was somewhere, and for whatever reason, this psychopath's house, like I've been drinking at night, and they didn't have any condiments in their house, I could just soak that hot dog in beer, I'd be all right. I'd be all right in that situation.
No, I completely agree. Mustard is the top-tier condiment.
Of course.
But I'm not a huge ketchup guy, and some people
because you're not 4 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, like Tim. That's
no, but some people love ketchup
I don't
on their
mind
hot
ketchup
dog,
and mustard together on a hot dog.
I don't even that's too much.
I might in fact say I enjoy ketchup and mustard together on a hot dog. I don't. Here's part of the problem. I don't prefer hot dogs to sausages in general. I prefer a sausage to begin with, and a sausage I prefer with just mustard. A hot dog is the only scenario I would where there would be.
Have to.
You would think, right?
Yeah, they'd have to find him.
I would like to.
Remember the couple at Camden Yards that brought the
the SpaghettiOs, right?
They got
100%. And I was interested in that. I was in. I was like, you know what? Good for you guys. Yeah. I'm not really a SpaghettiOs man, but whatever it is that you're doing, I'm for it. Griffin, you were completely silent during all of this.
Yeah, well, it was a lot to take in.
Your thoughts?
I think I want to try the beer now with the hot dog residue.
Oh, the hot dog juice in the beer.
Yeah.
I'm scared.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to do it for me. I don't. First of all, I'm not really a beer drinker anymore. I'm just not a drinker anymore. That part is not my thing any longer.
I think I do enjoy condiments on my hot dog, so I think that's Well,
you're also closer to 4 years old. I enjoy condiments. It's the ketchup thing that we're talking about. Here's my issue with this, right? If your argument is this is a light beer that doesn't really offer anything to the world, it's just beer for beer's sake to begin with. So maybe by introducing some hot dog innards to beer for beer's sake, it actually somehow improves the beer. Okay, I'm at least listening. I'll listen to your argument. I'm not convinced of it. I don't think it's going to improve. I think it's still just going to be beer for beer's sake with some hot dog innards floating around in it.
Would you drink hot dog water?
No.
But that's what this is, essentially.
Well, it's not really hot dog water. I just said I like the beer hot dog combination. So if I like that, wouldn't I like the beer with the...
That's a good point. I'm looking at it a lot differently now. I don't know if I can go back and take it.
It's you're drinking hot dog.
If you want mine, by all means.
And mine as well.
I'm good. All right. Before Tim's got to get out of here, and by the way, thank you for your prayers for our souls. I think we're going to be okay. I don't think, as I assume, this was largely nothing. Let's play Would You Rather Wednesday quickly. Would You Rather Wednesday is brought to you by Glory Days Grill. Glory Days Grill summer seasonal menu still available right now, including things that are far better than hot dog straws. I promise you. That's not what they've got. Maybe if you ask nicely, they do it for you. But I don't know why you would when you could instead get the opener, the flash fried pork belly with the Korean No. 2 sauce, or the South Carolina barbecue chicken, or the lobster roll with the grilled corn, all available at your neighborhood Glory Days Grill. GloryDaysGrill.com. Everyone who responds today is registered to win a $25 gift card to Glory Days Grill. And we've gotten tons of responses today. Number one, would you rather the Orioles today announce a 4-year extension for Brandon Hyde that for whatever reason includes a very difficult buyout, like it's really going to be a 4-year extension, or I like what he's doing, but I'd kind of rather keep going year to year because I still question some of the decisions he's made?
So I would ride at least next year because the thing is we haven't seen Brandon Hyde manage in these situations. And look, they finish out the year this year. Next year is the first year under this regime. They have legitimate expectations. Mike Elias has already said they're going to open up the checkbook.
Lift off from here.
You're thinking playoffs next year, and they very well could make the playoffs this year, but you're thinking they are definitely there. They are in the mix for the American League East. So I want to see how he does next year before you give him that extension.
Okay, all right. Number two, would you rather? So I was caught last night at the ballpark. My friend Patrick Stevens, legendary college sports writer in the area, he and I went to the game last night. And I'm an obsessed Norm Macdonald fan, but I had never read Norm's book. So when Norm passed away, Patrick brought me Norm's book and said, here, you can read it. And I was on vacation this summer, and I could have sworn I finished the book. So I was going to give it back to him last night at the game. I realized when I picked the book up to take it with me, I was 40 pages short of finishing the book. So I got to the stadium, and I was like, in between innings, I'm going to have to flip through and finish these 40 pages before I give Patrick the book back. Well, the funny thing about that is my friend Gerard and the camera crew at Oriole Park at Camden Yards found me at the stadium and caught me reading a book at a baseball game, which is quite embarrassing. Making it worse, after this thing became a thing on Twitter and it got some legs and people were dogging me and the whole deal, they then panned back to me and I apparently was on my phone on the big screen. doing anything but paying attention to the baseball game. I promise you I was paying attention to the baseball game. It was in between innings that I was reading the book. But it got me thinking about things you could be caught doing, much like hot dog straw guy. So would you rather you are caught on camera and you go viral for your most disgusting food habit? And you'd have to tell us what that is. The thing that you would say, I'd really rather that not go viral and everybody know me forever as this guy. Or would you rather be caught on camera, as many couples have or people have over the years, being rejected by a woman and have that go viral?
Well, I don't think I have that disgusting of a food. Like, I think one of my hottest food takes that I'm sure creeps people out, like, I can just eat raw onions.
That's weird.
No, I love raw onions.
That's really weird.
But would I be embarrassed?
Like you take
about that?
like it's an apple?
No,
like,
no.
What the hell?
No. I'm saying if you're cutting up onions, you're
All right,
dicing.
well,
I'll eat them.
I wouldn't take
But
like
I'm
a
saying,
handful of them. That's too much.
No,
but
I
don't.
would.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got some questions.
But I don't know if that's all that embarrassing. So I guess I would lean that way.
Okay. All right. I mean,
I
it's
can-
not.
I can
It
be
definitely.
onion guy.
Yeah, you'll definitely be onion guy. I promise you. The guy that goes and picks up a giant handful. Like the internet will have a day with. You will definitely be that guy moving forward if
I
that's
can
the
own
case.
that.
All right. And number 3, would you rather? This has become a topic everybody's talking about this week. Would you rather? Hell, let the preseason win streak continue on Saturday night, or you're so sick of the conversation and people trying to make something out of it and the think pieces and the nonsense that you just rather it be over.
I'm indifferent with it all. I mean, it's
It's would you rather, Tim. You have to pick one or the other.
I know, damn it. Well, it's probably just end it, right? Because I think it's the most bizarre streak in sports,
It's
right?
an anomaly. It means nothing.
No, obviously it doesn't
means
in
zero.
any of the. But like,
I'm just.
People are fascinated with it,
don't-
right? Like you see these national pieces. That's all they're. Adam Schefter every single week. Ravens won their.
Bucky
26th.
Brooks wrote a whole thing about it for NFL.com.
Yes.
I'm like, what? I can do this in 2 words.
Yes.
It's nothing.
And we love Jamison Hensley, but
Yes.
Jamison did a piece with like Josh Woodrum. just interviewing him about the streak and his time involved.
I hope the rum ham. We used to call him the rum ham. I don't know why. We couldn't remember his name one morning.
Josh
We're like, who's that quarterback from Liberty? The rum ham. Because we were big Always Sunny in Philadelphia fans.
damn straight.
And so we called him the rum ham for years. We'd be like, hey, who was that guy that was on the rum ham? Like, we would refer to him that way.
So
I hope he's doing well. Nice guy.
Yeah, so I would just say end it just so we don't have to talk about it anymore. But I will say the day or two afterwards, you're going to have more of those pieces like, oh, my God, the Vince Lombardi Packers couldn't even do this. And
God.
how, But I will say the John Harbaugh quote that just had me audibly laughing is he was saying that anyone involved in this streak, they're glued to the TV. Their family is watching it as well. And I was like, who in the hell? I did a deep dive, and I guess this is more of an indictment on me.
I don't know where you're about to go with this, but
Jason wanted me to do this for Inside Access. We did the segment yesterday. I found all of the statistical leaders of this streak.
Okay.
And the names on there are
who would do? I can't even. Who could possibly remember?
It was a lot of.
I don't know the names of the guys on this team. I swear to God, Cordell, because I have not. The 2 games so far have been the Knights of Orioles games. So no offense, I've been watching the Orioles and merely only flipping over to see if a bet of mine hit.
Well, that's
Cordell tweet. Oh, come on, man. Why live if you're
football.
not going? What? Cordell tweeted the other night something about Darryl Worley, and I was like, does Darryl Worley play for the Ravens? Like, because I remembered him playing for the Cardinals, but I was like, does he play for the hell team is Darryl Worley on in this game? I don't even know. It turns out he's a Raven. I was like, well, that's weird. He was a player for a minute. For a minute, he was a guy that had like an NFL future, but I don't think that's going to be the case now. No. Who could possibly? Riley Webb. Who is that? nearly cost me some money a couple weeks ago, is who he was.
Well, if we're being honest here, Glenn, I think one of those undrafted guys are going to make the team.
Well, Shamar Bridges, it appears, is going to make the team.
Well, but he didn't really do anything in the last
Oh, stop. We're not going to break down preseason football. I'm not doing that,
You're
Tim.
bet on it.
I'm not doing that.
You bet on it.
Yes, because two reasons.
You're a
One, I hit my first bet, which is specifically them winning by 1 to 13 points. I got plus money on that by them winning 1 to 13 points, which was a great bet, although they tried to F it up at the end when they were driving up 13. Second one, I lost by half a point. I had the Cardinals covering. 6.5.
What was the spread? Yeah.
6.5 was the number. And I was like, there's a long trip out to Arizona. I don't know. I convinced myself.
More useless.
And nearly got there. The Cardinals had the ball back with a chance. I was like, let's go, baby. Let's do this. Guantanamo Bay at quarterback.
More useless stats here. They're 19-3 covered.
Yes, and they've covered 11 consecutive. Yeah, yeah.
That's not useless. That's not useless.
Oh, that's relevant. That's relevant for some of us.
That's
For some of us, it's quite relevant, Tim. Quite relevant. Hey, buddy, I'm glad you came in and did this. This was fun, man.
Absolutely.
What's coming up this afternoon on Inside Access?
So we're going to be live at Pickles Pub today. So we're going to get into that. Tim Murray. Ryan Ripken is going to be joining us live. So we'll be breaking down O's, White Sox throughout.
I still owe him an ass kicking. We've had a long, like a 10-year thing where we're going to play Pop-A-Shot against each other.
Ryan Ripken.
I have this bizarre. I don't have skills. I wreck at Pop-A-Shot. I don't know why it is.
I'm
a monster at Pop-A-Shot. Of course, Ryan was a very good basketball player at Gilman. And so I don't know how, but like 10 years ago, we got into that tit for tat. And I've smoked a lot. Like Brandon Williams still gets his feelings hurt when I talk about like any dude. We end up doing an event at a bar somewhere and there's Pop-A-Shot. The only guy that ever beat me was Brandon Stokely, and it still sits in my craw. Like I have not gotten over it.
Well, it's funny. I love Pop-A-Shot too. I'm solid, not spectacular, but there was a game at a bar that we went to last Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Not Pop-A-Shot, but a really cool game. It's Connect 4, but it's
with basketball. 100%. They have it over at B&D's, that play. They have it over there.
It's
so much fun.
Yeah,
it's so much fun. I could spend hours just doing that.
Oh, we did.
Yeah. Yeah.
We did like 40 minutes.
Speaking of which, I had a friend named I threw a party. By the way, thanks for coming to the party on Saturday. I appreciate that.
Well,
I hear you were drunk. I had a buddy a couple years ago who said he was going to recreate the Connect 4 Pop-A-Shot basketball.
Yeah.
Like he's an engineer.
Okay.
And he's still never done it. Matt Gettleman, I'm looking at you. Keep waiting for that one of these years. That's a great game. You're on Twitter at
Tim Barbalace. I know my last name's ridiculous. Barbal.
I feel like most intelligent people should be able to figure out.
You would be very
Fair
surprised.
Fair enough.
You would be very surprised.
You want some hot dog water for the road?
No. We're leaving that here.
Tim,
sorry, guys.
Thank you for coming in and hanging out. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in and hanging out. Let's do this again, all right?
No, absolutely.
Appreciate
Anytime,
you, buddy.
man. All right.
Tim Barbalace, 105.7 The Fan, coming in and hanging out in studio with you. You can go ahead and call. I know we're running late. You can go ahead and call Joon. Griffin's sitting over there like, are you going to take a break? Are you going to? No, you can go ahead. It's fine. It's that awkward. Get out! You can stay if you want, but get the F out of here. It's Tim Barbalace hanging out with us in studio. Hour number 1 of today's show is in the books. A reminder that if you haven't picked up the new print issue of Pressbox yet, it is available for free at your neighborhood Royal Farms. They have the hundreds of locations around town where you find Pressbox. Read it all at PressBoxOnline.com. On the cover, you find Mark Andrews, great story from Bo Smolka, about a more unexpected path than you might realize for Mark Andrews becoming a star in the NFL. A late arriver to football full-time, someone who was still playing basketball until late and hadn't made a decision until late in his high school career about what he wanted to do. Really great, thorough story from Bo Smolka. Encourage you to go pick up that new print issue of Pressbox right now. And, of course, you can always read it online at PressBoxOnline.com. We're going to talk some baseball here in hour number 2 of the program. Joining us now, MLB writer for ESPN, a man who was up in Williamsport at the Little League Classic on Sunday night. He is Joon Lee, and he's with us on GCR. Joon, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's great to chat with you, man. Thank you so much for taking some time for us this morning.
Thanks for having me on. I actually wasn't in Williamsport, but I really do wish I was.
Well, now I feel like a jerk. I was reading a press release, and I thought you were there, and now I feel very bad about that. I am so sorry. Joon, I've been asking the same question to everybody that we've had on for the last couple of months. How do you explain what's happened with the Baltimore Orioles this season?
I think it's a combination of a few things. It's the prospects, Adley Rutschman, hitting at the right time, and a level of depth that Michael Elias has built up with that bullpen and that pitching staff that I think has kind of been the consistent threat throughout the course of this season. There's definitely been some, ups and downs, but I think that the level of talent that they've kind of built up, I think, has been similar to, the approach that a team like the Rays have taken, where you build out the back end of that roster and then you try to, fill in, bring it in over the top with the star power. I think that's what the Orioles are hoping that guys like, Adley and Gunnar Henderson end up being for this team.
How close are they to? But look, nobody thinks that if they got in this year, this is still playing with house money in Baltimore, right? Nobody expected this. It's fun. The expectations are not to win a World Series. But as an organization, how far away are they from being a team that can threaten for an entire season, from being a franchise that's ready to take a step forward to being closer to what they were in 2014 or so, that could be a threat to win a World Series in the future?
Well, I think it's dependent on how much money they're willing to spend. If they're willing to go out and spend some money on the free agent market and add some top-end talent to that roster and beyond the depth, I think they can compete pretty quickly. And another question that factors into this, too, is how the rest of their prospects come. Because obviously Adley being a success, already kind of one of the best catchers in baseball, is a huge add to that roster. But whether or not Gunnar Henderson comes up and is able to perform in the way that he has in AAA this year, I mean, that's not necessarily a guarantee. We've seen top prospects come up all the time and not necessarily be successful once they make the transition to the major league level. And so, I think it is dependent on whether or not they want to spend on the free agent market, which the Orioles have been willing to do in the past, and how the rest of those prospects at all. But, it is easy to imagine in 1 or 2 years this team being a contender for the postseason on an annual basis, especially with the expanded wild card.
Joon Lee from ESPN with us here on Glenn Clark Radio. Joon, to that point, look, the Orioles say they're spending money, and they say they're spending it starting this offseason. Nobody thinks that's going to be, Aaron Judge money. Nobody thinks that's going to be hundreds upon hundreds of $1 million. But are there players that you would look at and say, like, this is the fit? Like, this is, I think everybody assumes it's got to be at least one starting pitcher. It's hard to figure out exactly where else you want to move someone off a position and go that route. But do you have anything that you look at and say, hey, look, this team plus this guy next year, we're talking about a team that's a legitimate threat now?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you look at the free agent starting market, from last offseason, adding a guy like Kevin Gausman or Carlos Rodon in that kind of tier, who's not necessarily that Max Scherzer, Garrett Cole level starting pitcher, but a guy who can complement that top of the rotation and be a guy who kind of sets the tone there, I think is pretty realistic in terms of trying to add pieces. I mean, I look back into the last time where the Orioles were kind of in this position where they're going out and getting guys like Miguel Tejada and adding to that top end of the roster. Like, I think that the Orioles can kind of take a similar approach now as they did back then.
Gunnar Henderson is considered by some to be the number one, if not the number two prospect in all of baseball. And our expectations are that he comes up this week. What's reasonable to expect of someone like Gunnar Henderson, Joon? Like, what I worry is that Orioles fans are convincing themselves that you've got a savior, the guy that's going to, ride in and be Superman and is going to carry you into the playoffs, and he's a 21-year-old who's never played Major League Baseball before. And I just don't know if that's a fair assumption to make at this point.
It's funny because, all the descriptors that you named, I feel like we're also throwing around with Adley Rutschman when he was coming up as well. I don't think I think it's fair to expect a little bit of a transition period. I think with any prospect, it's always good to go in with lower expectations than you would want, just because you never know how much of a transition period that move to the major league takes. But I think expecting some level of production, expecting an above-average major league second baseman out of the gate isn't unreasonable for the Orioles.
And by the way, I don't think it's a reason why you don't do it either. I definitely think they should do it. I think, yes, being reasonable about it makes a lot of sense. Joon, let me just dip on two real quick around baseball. One, what are the New York Yankees at this point?
I think they're a team that has gone through a period of struggle, like every team does at some point this year. But I think they're a team that is among the most talented in baseball, if not one of the most top two talented rosters in baseball, and they have a chance to win the World Series this year as long as they kind of hit the right notes at the right time in the postseason. I mean, this is a team that has Aaron Judge, who's on pace to break Roger Maris's home run record at this point for the Yankees, and this is a starting rotation that has a lot of depth. Frankie Montas was really, really good last night, and it's going to be an important piece for them down the road. And they have a lot of guys coming back from injury between Giancarlo Stanton. I think the team is optimistic that Matt Carpenter can return by the end of the year, too. He's currently riding around the clubhouse on a scooter. But I think that this is a team that is going to be a factor in October, and you'd rather have these kinds of struggles now than when the playoffs come.
And then how many teams really are threats to win the World Series this year, June? I bring this in the context of a week ago, as bad as the Yankees were, I was sort of joking about, hey, I don't think the Orioles could win the World Series, but I'm also not sure how many teams there are in the American League that I'm confident they couldn't beat in a playoff series, right? Like, how many teams really can win the World Series at this point?
I mean, when it comes to October, I tend to be of the belief that it's more like hockey than it is basketball and football, where, once you make the playoffs, anyone can kind of make it as long as you hit, a hot streak at the right time. Like, I don't think anyone expected Atlanta to win the World Series last year, and they got hot at the right time, and they had the right guys go off in October, and, they were lifting the trophy at the end of the playoffs. So, I think for the American League, I mean, you look at pretty much every team right now. I think there's a level of depth across the American League East. The Cleveland Guardians have been really, really good over the course of the last couple of months. And I think that once you get to October, anything is possible.
I get it. We will selfishly in Baltimore, like if it's not the Orioles, we will all be rooting for Buck Showalter in Baltimore. And I swear to God, it's the best story that could possibly play out. The guy is a World Series away from being a Hall of Fame caliber manager. Like, I can't get enough of the greatness of Buck Showalter. And while I don't care at all about the Mets whatsoever, I will root for that guy for eternity because he's just the best.
Yeah, I think Mets fans are almost bracing for something to go bad at this point because nothing has gone bad for them this year. And so I think that everyone just kind of who's at Citi Field nowadays is just waiting for something to go wrong, but nothing has gone wrong yet for them. It might be one of those years similar to those Red Sox from 2018, where just the team is good the entire year and they cruise through and they get to October, and if they win a World Series, Buck is definitely going to be in the conversation as a World Series manager.
At Joon Lee on Twitter is how you follow him. Joon, is there anything we can plug for you where people can find you? I know everybody's a multi-platform person at this point. Like, is there anything specific we can plug for you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm on Twitter at Joon Lee. I'm on Instagram at Joon, and I'm on TikTok at I am Joon Lee, so you can follow me there.
Give him follows in all those places. Joon Lee, appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for taking a couple of minutes for us. Would love to do this again before the season's over.
Thanks for having me on.
Joon Lee, ESPN MLB writer. Appreciate him taking the time, and you can see him on Baseball Tonight and all the various ESPN platforms. Appreciate him hopping on with us for a couple of minutes. All right. Today's show is also brought to you by, this one's brought to you by Simply the Bets. Simply the Bets every Tuesday morning at 11:40 a.m. If you missed it yesterday, we got you ready for the week in betting. What was Dylan Cease's strikeout total?
I think he only had, 4 or 5?
Tried warning him.
Good for the Orioles.
Yeah, not great for Aaron. Go F yourself, buddy. Picking. You didn't know what you were in for. Adley Rutschman, baby. Adley Rutschman working some counts. Although he settled in quite nicely for a little while there. They gave up no hits for like 4 innings or something like that. It was wild. It was just a wild night at the ballpark, dude. It was just a really, really weird night at the ballpark. But fun game. Fun game. Took 4 hours because Tony La Russa needed about 30 minutes to get Dylan Cease out of the game. And I don't remember who the pitcher was that came in replacing Dylan Cease. But that guy had the slowest jog. Like at one point we looked up, the clock had already expired, and he hadn't thrown a warm-up pitch yet. It was the longest pitching change I've ever seen in my entire life.
Was that last night? Was that your first experience with Felix coming in, or had you already seen
you know what? I got to think about this.
Did he come in?
No, I think it was. I think it was the first time, because I was there a couple weeks ago
for the 30th.
Right, but he didn't.
Yeah, I don't think he did. He pitch?
Or they hadn't started doing the thing yet. Maybe.
Yeah. That might have
is
been
what it was.
Yeah.
I don't remember, but I don't think I had seen it. And yeah, it's amazing. It's incredible. In fact, I got to be honest with you, there was a part I said to my buddy, I was like, they really should do it again to start the 9th inning. Like, they really should, because he came in, of course, in the middle of the 8th inning, and then it's a while removed, and people have kind of settled down a little bit, and it's so electric when it happens, and it gets people so amped up. I'm like, dude, if they should just hit the whole thing again.
Yeah.
Like, they should do the whole bit again as he's going back out to the mound to start the 9th inning. They didn't, of course, but I would encourage the Orioles to consider any of these scenarios where he comes in the 8th inning. Think about maybe doing it again just because it gets people so fired up and get them up on their feet and get them into that moment. That question of how do the Orioles do this that I've been asking everybody, David Schoenfield really attempted to explain that recently at ESPN.com. He's going to join us next, and we're going to talk at length about what the Orioles have done this season. That's on the way. It is a Wednesday edition of Glenn Clark Radio.
Swagger is a daily fantasy sports site created for sports fans who want some skin in the game and a real shot at winning. Forget plus-minus odds, Swagger uses points for a better way to understand probabilities. If you're tired of losing because of one bad pick, with Swagger, you don't need to be perfect to win. You just create a lineup of 4 to 10 simple player props and score points for the ones you get right. So you can be half right and all right with Swagger. Swagger offers the most player props and biggest payouts of any DFS site, as much as 50 times your buy-in. Plus, you can play all the major pro sports, including your favorite local teams. If you're ready to play, visit playwithswagger.com/pressbox to sign up, and Swagger will give you $10 free to try them out. Plus, they'll match your first deposit 100% up to $100. It's free money to play with Swagger. Swagger, daily fantasy for all fankind. Playwithswagger.com/pressbox.
Stan the Fan here, welcoming back one of my favorite sponsors, the Costas Inn. And everybody around Baltimore knows the Costas Inn is a great place to go and grab crabs, steaks, salads, soups, whatever's on your mind to eat in person. But did you know that the Costas Inn has upped their game? They are now one of the premier takeout places in Baltimore. Give them a call now to order your food, 410-477-1975. That's the Costas Inn, over 4100 North Point Boulevard.
The biggest pro wrestling stars today and all time all have one thing in common. You've heard them on Jobbing Out.
Matt and Nick Jackson, the Young Bucks.
Thanks for having us, man. Appreciate it.
The great Kurt Angle.
Thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
Matt Riddle.
Yeah, man. Thanks, man.
The champ, Drew McIntyre.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Bill Goldberg.
My pleasure.
Charlotte.
Thank you so much for having me.
Mick Foley is with us.
This is the greatest name for a wrestling show I've ever heard.
MJF.
I'm glad you're happy I'm on this show because I'm freaking miserable.
Le
champion.
Chris Jericho.
Le champion.
AJ, Aaron, Brandon, and Glenn are talking pro wrestling every week on Jobbing Out. Find it at PressBoxOnline.com/radio, iTunes, and SoundCloud.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
Come experience Maryland's #1 sportsbook this NFL season at the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel, the ultimate place for any sports enthusiast. Take advantage of our 24/7 kiosks, massive video screens, and watch all the action from the best seat in the house. With more money paid out than anyone around, make every moment more at the new FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover, Maryland. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Please call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit mdgamblinghelp.org.
Summer is in full swing, and so is the summer seasonal menu at Glory Days Grill. Start with the opener, flash fried pork belly with their popular Korean #2 sauce. And try their South Carolina barbecue chicken, or backed by popular demand, the lobster roll with grilled corn. Also try the irresistible crab and lobster fries, or the very berry salad with chicken. And for dessert, the Cracker Jack sundae with a waffle, ice cream, and Cracker Jacks. This menu will be gone. Find out more and get your order in at glorydaysgrill.com. Glory Days Grill, great food, good sports.
To follow the show on Instagram, it's just Glenn Clark Radio. And to follow the show on OnlyFans, wait, I don't think you're supposed to know about that one. Any hoodle. Take it away, boys.
All right, back in here on GCR on a Would You Rather Wednesday edition of the show. We'll get to our responses and your responses from Would You Rather Wednesday coming up here a little bit later on this hour. It's always brought to you by Glory Days Grill. Stan the Fan Charles, always a busy man. He was back at it on Monday as he and Ross Grimsley caught up with Scotty McGregor. Tomorrow, Stan the Fan and Gary Stein will chat with Sarah Ellison, who, of course, worked for the Ravens for a long time, BaltimoreRavens.com. Now has a new podcast, I believe, called Ravens Vault, that she's doing with Bobby Trossett. Stan the Fan, Gary Stein, talk some Ravens. Sarah Ellison tomorrow on Facebook Live, facebook.com/PressBoxSports, PressBoxOnline.com/video if you miss it live, or YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline. And I didn't really even finish, by the way. I started doing the Simply the Bets read, and then I was like, I just kind of got sidetracked. Every Tuesday, 11:40 a.m. for Simply the Bets, and then every Thursday every other Thursday, at 11:40 for Weekend at Bookies, all brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. Whew. All right. I have beer hot dog. Like, I can still taste it. I think it's giving me, I don't normally eat like this in the morning either, so like I'm also getting a little like I don't know, indigestion from this. Not
I mean, you housed that whole hot dog.
I did.
I was impressed.
I did. Well, again, I want to know. I want to know. All right. We've been asking this question a lot of late. How has this happened? How have the Orioles done this? How do you define it? Because on paper, you'd still say it's a nondescript pitching staff. It's a bottom half of baseball offense. How? How has this happened? Well, our next guest really dove in and attempted to explain it in a piece that he did for ESPN.com and ESPN+. He is ESPN writer David Schoenfield, and he's with us now here on GCR. David, it's Glenn and Griffin in Baltimore. It's good to chat with you. Thank you so much for taking a couple of minutes for us.
Hey, you bet. Thanks for having me on. A fun time down there for you guys right now.
It has been a far pleasant summer than we could have ever imagined it being, David. But it's weird because I feel like we've had a lot of analysts and national writers, and I keep saying the same thing, which is how do you're sitting around, somebody comes up to you and says, "Dude, what's going on with the Orioles? How has that happened?" I don't know how to explain it, really. Yeah. Like, I know the dumb guy thinks, well, Adley Rutschman got here, and the bullpen's pretty good. But I still kind of walk away from it saying, I don't know if this is really a statement about a franchise that has utterly turned around, or if it's just a magical season that they're having somehow, some way. You've really dove into it, so I'm going to ask you to give you the shortened version of the how. How has this happened?
Yeah, no, it defies all logic. The short version, the bullpen's been really good. You guys know that, right? I look back at other sort of surprise teams that come out of nowhere, and it's almost always pitching. The Baltimore offense gets a little better than last year, especially when you factor in that it's impossible to hit home runs now at Camden Yards, right? But like you said, the offense is still just middle of the pack. It's not a powerhouse lineup. So the pitching, like a lot of surprise teams in the past, has come out of nowhere to be really good. And pitching, though, it's volatile. Is this an indicator that they've suddenly found this pitching staff for the next 5-6 years? Not necessarily. Bullpens in particular can come and go in a hurry. But, yeah, it's certainly completely unexpected. One of the great miracle teams of all time if they could make the playoffs.
The question that I've been asking myself about the pitching, David, is how much of it is related to the defense behind them? And of course, obviously, Adley Rutschman being a central figure. But even, I'm watching last night, and there was a shot down the line in left field, and Austin Hayes so casually gets over to get the ball. And I think about some of the positionless players that the Orioles have ran out in the outfield in the past, and how many guys maybe wouldn't have gotten to, like the range of these outfielders of Cedric Mullins and Austin Hayes, and then Anthony Santander with his arm. I don't know how to define it, but I feel like something like that plays a significant role in explaining why the pitching has been far better than the list of names that are out there doing the pitching.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, and I forget the exact numbers that I cited in the piece, but I think the Orioles defense projects to be about 50 or 60 runs better than last year.
Yeah.
But overall, they're gonna allow 200 and something fewer runs. So yeah.
By the way, it was a 67. It was a 67 run save better than they were a year ago.
So that's about 2/5 of the improvement. So yeah, the defense is part of it. especially with the wall out in left field. Left field defense in particular is important. Remember, you really didn't. I don't want to say you didn't need outfield defense in Camden Yards, but it wasn't important because the dimensions were so small. Well, suddenly left field and left center, outfield defense is a big part of building a winning team there. So, yeah, it's certainly a factor.
And it's a weird – I bring it up, David, in part because I think about how they could still upgrade offensively and what they could do this offseason, but I almost get nervous about it, right? Like I almost say, well, yeah, you could probably use someone a little bit more productive than Austin Hayes, but then I'm like, but are you going to screw everything up in the process? Like, are you going to screw up your defense and then screw up your pitching and screw up – leave it alone. Just keep doing this thing. And I know it doesn't really work that way.
No, but it's true. And defense helps teams have a floor. If your defense is above average, you don't necessarily need great pitching. Obviously, you want great pitching, but, watch the good teams across the sport and watch the bad teams. And defense stands out. It's so important. So if you're not going to score a lot of runs and you don't have Justin Verlander as your number one starter, defense helps make up for a lot of, other flaws in a team. So I'm with you. You be careful about, we need to add this bat, but how does that impact the team as a whole? Defense is vitally important.
David Schoenfield is with us from ESPN.com. We'll link out the piece that he wrote, really diving in to how this has happened for the Baltimore Orioles. David, I asked this question, is this sustainable, moving forward? And I say that knowing the Orioles are going to add, they've said out loud, we're spending money. We're going to try to get better pitching, and they expect to get a John Means back, and Grayson Rodriguez is going to be a part of this thing next year, and we already know that there are going to be upgrades. But, is this close to being something that could compete for a championship? It's nice to be a good story. It's nice to have fun and to be competitive. But what comes along with that is expectations, right? That starting next year, it's no longer okay to just be a fun story. You already did that part. Now you got to go win. Are they building something that is sustainable for the next few years to truly move into competitiveness to try to win a World Series?
Yeah, look, I think so. And, the easy reason to believe in that is the farm system, right? We will trust what the experts say, but they all think right now Baltimore number one farm system. Gunnar Henderson, we'll see if he gets called up here in September, kind of has evolved as the number one overall prospect in the game right now. Grayson Rodriguez, let's get him back, potential frontline starter. But they're also, I think the Orioles, look, you can't, to me, it's a win now team, meaning you got to go into this offseason and add some more pitching. Yeah, you're going to be adding more young players to the lineup, but you look at that lineup, Hayes, Mullen, Santander, these guys are in their prime. They're all 26, 27 years old. So you don't want to wait 3 years down the road to say we're going to be ready in 2026 because those guys might be leaving their prime years. So I think this offseason is huge. And you got to go out and you're going to need more starting pitching. There's no doubt. Some of those guys, do we really trust them long term? I don't know. Even the bullpen, all these guys they got off the waiver wire, are they the real deal? I don't know. The lineup, I think, is going to be much better with the addition of some of the prospects.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to add more pitching. Got to add more pitching, no doubt about it.
No question. That's got to be a priority, and I have to assume it will be. And the nice thing, as you pointed out about the wall, is pitchers might be willing to sign in Baltimore now, unlike in past years. Boy, last night there were two balls the White Sox blasted off literally the top of the wall. That would have been, and neither one of those runners ended up scoring. And either it's incredible the impact that wall has made and sort of the way.
How many years before they're like, well, we got to move the wall in?
Yeah,
right?
it's too difficult for our hitters. Well, by the way, what you're bringing up, David, is like the Trey Mancini argument, right? Like a lot of people would love to see Trey Mancini come back to Baltimore as a free agent this offseason because he's a beloved figure here. But the immediate thought back is, why in the hell would Trey Mancini want to be back in Baltimore? He can't hit home runs anymore in Baltimore.
Yeah, no, if you're a right-handed pull power hitter, is Baltimore going to be the place you want to go to? No, obviously not. Look, in the end, if you're a free agent, money always, speaks.
Sure.
But there's been, Seattle as an example. They've had trouble luring free agent hitters to come to Seattle because it's a tough place to hit, So, yeah, you want to have a balanced park, but clearly the Orioles had to do this because just their young pitchers, obviously, the last few years were just getting hammered at that park.
I keep wondering.
I think the left field wall is there to stay.
I keep wondering if there's some sort of like happy medium between the two. Like
Yeah.
if there's a way to maybe bring the fence down slightly or something that can.
I still watch games there, and it's like, what stadium is this?
Yeah.
Because it just transformed the whole park.
No doubt, but from the pitching standpoint, there is no question. Yep. There is no question that it's working. Can they get over the hump just to get in, David? Like it's a weird thing where I keep saying, well, if you're 2 games out, of course you can get in. But every time it comes up, I still say, but I'm betting against it. I still think it's difficult. It's a lot to ask of the. I mean, Austin Voth had to gut out 5 2/3 innings where he was putting 2 base runners on every inning last night and somehow beat Dylan Cease. And that's absurd, and it makes no sense. But to ask for these things to keep happening and to keep holding up for you to overcome 2 games when there are still other teams, I don't know. I know it can. I just really struggle with the idea that it will.
Yeah, if I had to go and put my life savings on the wild card teams in the American League, the Orioles would not be one of my 3 picks. And, obviously we know about the schedule, although, I don't know, some of those Red Sox games don't look so tough anymore. But, 7 against Houston, that's going to be tough. But maybe when you face them down the road, I know you have them coming up, and then later in September, maybe they're kind of playing out the string because they're so far ahead in the West. So maybe the schedule isn't quite as tough. But, look, there's a chance. Tampa Bay, they're still riddled with injuries. I'm not completely buying them. Seattle can't score any runs, although they have a very easy schedule the rest of the way. So, yeah, there's hope, but, the odds are still against them.
Yeah, that's sort of where I am. And I
hate to say it.
No, but it doesn't mean it won't, right? Like that's the thing. And the nice part about it for us, as we alluded to before, is we've moved the goalpost. That wasn't the expectation for this year. It's tough to be disappointed in a scenario where they come up just a little bit short because they were never supposed to be there to begin with. Just the fact that we're getting meaningful baseball games in August and September in Baltimore is so much more than we could have ever asked for this season that it's unfair to move the goalposts at that point.
And plus, when we added the 3rd wild card, there was this belief, well, it might only take 82, 83 wins to get there, and that's going to happen in some years. But the AL, there's so many bad teams in the American League this year that it looks like it's going to take, 89, 90 wins to get that wild card. So I think the future will tell us that's a pretty high bar, that a lot of years it's only going to be in the mid-80s to get that last playoff spots. But it's a little tougher to get in this year.
It's a bit loaded. It is a bit loaded. Is there one other thing in all the research that you did that was particularly interesting to you, David? Like, as everything, all the data you went through, is there anything else related to what the Orioles have done that you're like, man, I don't know that we're talking about this enough?
Well, the one thing I didn't do, is look at those other surprise teams and look at, was it sustainable? Did you lose me here?
No, I got you.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Sorry, my phone started beeping here. One thing I did look at, though, was the average age of the various teams. And the Orioles are a little younger than these other surprise teams. So I think that's a good sign for the future, let alone that they're going to be adding all these great prospects. So, because some of these teams that surprise, for example, the 99 Diamondbacks, they were a veteran team. They signed Randy Johnson. They signed Steve Finley. They traded for Luis Gonzalez. So that was an older team that came together, had a run for a few years, and then kind of fell apart. But I think that the overall youth on the Orioles is a good sign that they can keep this going in the future.
That's a great point. That is a great point. David Schoenfield, it was fascinating stuff, man. I am hopeful that this is sustainable. I'm hopeful that we'll both be wrong and that the Orioles will end up figuring a way to get in. But I truly appreciate taking the time and joining us this morning, and look forward to chatting with you again in the future. Thank you for doing this.
All right, let's do it. Thanks for having me.
David Schoenfield from ESPN checking in with us. And again, if you have not read that story, we'll link it up at Glenn Clark Radio on Twitter. Okay, let's get back into Would You Rather Wednesday, brought to you by Glory Days Grill. 3 scenarios. Tim Barbalace was here in studio with us in the first hour, gave us his answers. Now let's get into ours. Would you rather numero uno? The Orioles today announce a 4-year extension for Brandon Hyde that for whatever reason would have a serious buyout. The idea being I don't want anybody to think like, yeah, you can give a 4-year extension and just fire him next year. Like, you're committing to Brandon Hyde. You are truly committing to Brandon Hyde as being the manager for the bulk of this phase that the Orioles are moving into. Or, continue to go year to year. I'm amazed by what has happened, but I still have a fair amount of questions about some of the decisions that he's made. I'm not ready to commit. You need to turn the microphone on.
Yeah, definitely the second.
That's what you need to commit to. Griffin needs to commit to turning the microphone on.
Definitely the second option. I'd rather do a year-to-year option. I don't honestly. I mean, I'm not sure how many managers even are there that you would like to commit to that long term. Like, that seems like a very tough thing to do, because I feel like especially in Major League Baseball, I feel like year to year teams can fall apart just so quickly.
Well, the argument's made that a lot of guys have won Manager of the Year and have been without a job within 2 years. Most of those guys are getting fired with time on their contract, right? Like, most guys do. Managers are smart enough to say, I've succeeded. It's time for you to step up and reward me for the succce that I've had.
So the thought is he leaves or 4-year deal? Like, that's.
Well,
based on the question, I would rather only have him for another year-to-year deal for at least next season before we give him a long-term extension. Make sure that he continues to manage the lineup well. I guess it worked out, playing more lefty. Like, I saw, we all thought Gunnar was coming up yesterday, and then you see Rougned Odor starting at third base, and it's just kind of like an eye roll. But then, Dylan Cease isn't great against lefties, so and it worked out. They won. So if we can continue to see more things like that, and it works out, and he's able to continue to manage this bullpen the way he has, I think, and it leads to a playoff berth next year, then I'd be fine with it. But for right now, I'd rather only see a year-to-year.
I'm just trying to compare. So Brian Snitker's extension was through 2024, so it was a 3-year extension that he got.
And he just won a World Series.
Now, he's also 66 years old, which I think plays a significant role. Like, I don't think typically guys that are that up there in age are guys. A lot of those guys don't even want that type of, like 4 plus, 5 guys,
plus.
I'm 66 years old. I just won a World Series. Like, I'll come back and ride this thing out for a little bit, but I ain't going to be here for 10 years. Like, it ain't going to happen that way. And I don't know everybody's unique situation. Of course, some guys want to Dusty Baker clearly wants to manage until he's dead. Like Tony La Russa clearly has no interest in not managing. Some guys are just that way, but not everyone is. This one, split-ish. KZ. I'd rather Hyde gets his contract. All managers have flaws. Some of you love John Harbaugh, and he's never leaving. KZ's so obsessed with John Harbaugh. Bro, I love you. Ken, I love you. You gotta chill. Like, it's just a bad bit at this point. And I love you. But I don't know what it has to do with Brandon Hyde. He wants Brandon Hyde to get a contract. From Paul and Ovi Lando, the latter, I would just like to see how he does next season, managing a team where there will actually be expectations for winning and success going into the season, and the temperature starts rising and the scrutiny of his lineups and in-game decisions. Hopefully he rises to the challenge. From Paul Valley, year to year. I think Paul's been particularly critical of Brandon Hyde.
His bullpen.
I'm pretty sure that Paul's been pretty aggressive in his criticism of Brandon Hyde. The decisions have been too much recently, especially the bullpen. Rita, you should do better than that. Rita says the latter, which is but she doesn't give any reason for it. She just says latter for year to year. Come on, Rita. Chris Pica, my buddy Blog and Tackle, give Hyde a 4-year deal. Much like Brian Snitker in Atlanta, there's the comparison, whose key players stood up for him in the middle of their rebuild. Hyde deserves the shot to finish the job and has the backing of the clubhouse. Every manager kicks a couple of decisions every season, Hyde included.
And I don't want it to sound like, we're kind of like, I feel like this is us almost trying to talk about Hyde negatively. Like, I don't think that's it. There's very few managers out there that I think I would want to own a 4-year deal. That's
I think that you understand that what a 4-year deal really is a 3-year deal. Like, you have to. What it is you're not firing him after next season, essentially. Like, a 4-year deal is a way of saying, look, we're committed to you beyond next year. It's next year plus. Anything after that, you could essentially say, well, we can, even with a buyout, we can get out of it, right? But a 4-year deal, I would argue, is a 3-year commitment. Especially for the Orioles, I would argue that's a 3-year commitment. That's saying, what it really is saying is, you're getting the shot. You're going to be the one to take this team into the next. But it's a real commitment for that, right? Mm-hmm. I think if the hang-up's on the number 4,
yeah.
And come on, man.
Yeah, it's not as bad then, I think. Cause there's a way out, but still it doesn't make sense to me to marry yourself to this guy for, the next 2 seasons.
Lewis disagrees. I think you give him the extension right now. The players really seem to respond to him. You want to continue building upon that. Josh Foster, my man Bird for life. Probably the former. I think Elias has a lot of say in the decisions Hyde is making on the field. As long as their relationship is good and we're winning, I don't see him going anywhere. Eric Dorsey, while I like Hyde, having a 4-year guaranteed deal isn't smart. Even if they go year to year, I doubt he, as most managers, isn't going anywhere. I think you meant to say is going somewhere else. I don't know. That wasn't. I doubt he isn't going anywhere. Well, that's double negative. In his profession, he has one of 30 desirable jobs, but I'm fine with a 2-year deal. It's not an option. I'm not giving you that. Chris, give the man a 4-year deal. He seems to mostly make good decisions, and the players seem to respect him. He's managed the bullpen expertly, in my opinion. We've seen bad managers here. Let's keep one of the good ones for a change. What else does he have to do? Nick, just simple, pay the man. From Jay McChaos. Oh, I love Jay McChaos. Great to hear from you. But where you been? It's been a while since Jay's checked in. He says give him the extension year to year. We'll just have him looking for another long-term opportunity without front office drama. Mike says, I would definitely be good with Brandon Hyde getting a 4-year extension. He deserves it after all of the losing the Orioles went through over the past 5 years. Mark Tenley, keep Hyde. See if whatever is happening now can keep going. And if it can't, we can always keep our farm system great. I guess you're just saying you're rebuilding again. I guess I'm definitely opposed to that. I'm opposed to rebuilding the rebuild.
And an extension could that put more pressure on it as well? Like, say the Orioles come out and they're only 500.
Oh, so
the
they
first
feel like
2
they
months.
have to make aggressive moves in order to.
And then they come out they're only 500 the first 2 months next season.
Maybe
and then
maybe. Yeah, I hear your argument, right? Like if,
we just gave this guy a 4-year deal. He has to win. And he's
what you're saying is on the
May.
flip side, they just fire the manager and assume the players are all correct. Like, I don't know. I don't know. It's an interesting thought. All right, number 2. Would you rather be caught on camera and go viral for your most disgusting food habit, or be caught on camera and go viral for rejection in a romantic situation?
So I kind of was leaning towards the romantic situation one. Like, I feel like that would blow over a lot quicker. Because I also, like Tim was saying, I can't think of too many outlandish food takes. I
think the problem is,
but I feel like if I get rejected, it's gonna suck. Mm-hmm. Obviously, that they both might not be ideal. But I think the food thing, I think that would go on for a little bit longer, and people wouldn't mind bringing that up as much. Whereas if you see a guy get rejected, it's like, oh, that's poor dude. It's funny.
You think
but
there's
people
a level of like
they're like, all right, let's leave that be.
Hasn't he been through enough, right?
Yeah.
That's an interesting argument that it dies quicker, the other one, and there's always more fish in the sea. And if you're out and you got a hot chick with you, they're not going to care about the last young woman. That's a great argument that nobody's really made about this one. A lot of people have been afraid to announce what their weird food habits are. Like I have talked before that among mine, I don't know that I would love. Like I have admitted openly that I am a man who has taken a bag of shredded cheese and just done.
Yeah, I was thinking that, but I
poured it down my gullet. It's truly disgusting.
That would be very weird at an Oriole game. Or
it doesn't have to be at a baseball game. I didn't say it had to happen at a baseball game.
You're just like
you're
just in the food court and someone's like,
or you're just at home and somebody, and then it gets on the internet and the internet's like, dude, what is this? Like, what is this dude doing? Just turning a bag of shredded cheddar
but
cheese
that's still a little bit
upside
relatable,
down.
I think.
I think that specifically is relatable. I have had worse bits. Like there's been a leftover casserole and I've just taken my hand. There was a moment. Okay, so
maybe you're dipping your hand in mayo.
Here's the thing.
Mayo.
Here's the thing that happened on Saturday. So I throw this pig roast every year, and this year, there were a couple less people than that. We had a bigger pig, so we actually had more pig left during. In fact, I actually had a small amount of leftover pig at the end, very small. But we had a 112-pound pig, and so as the day's gone on, I've had a little pig, and I want a little more pig. And so I go over. Now, I don't eat bread any longer. So I go over and I put some pig in my hand because I don't see any plates readily available because this is the way a party goes. Like, at the beginning, you have lots of plates and then all of a sudden you look around and you're like, what happened to all the plates and bowls? Like, where are they? But you've also been partying during the course of the day, so you're no longer interested in trying to solve the problem. You're just like, now what can I do? You're now... The guy that I was talking about earlier that's supposed to make the Connect 4 board for me, like now I'm the engineer. I'm the man that has to come up with the vehicle for consuming said pig. So I said, well, this is easy. I'm just putting it in my hand. And I just grab some of the pig, and I put it in my hand. And then my friend Mr. Gadsby makes his own homemade barbecue sauce, and it is a pickle-based barbecue sauce, and it is outstanding. I mean, it is unbelievable. So I go over and I get that bottle of the pickle barbecue sauce and I spread it all over the pig. And then I go and I say, I'm going to sit down with my friends. And I go sit down at a table with my buddy Caleb, who is the producer of the Rita and Glenn program and 105.7 The Fan. And with my old program director from the Fan 1060 KDUS in Phoenix, my friend Angel. And I sit down and Angel has always been kind of like she's not that much older than I am. She's, 6 or 7 years older than I am, something like that. But she's always been because she was my boss, she's always been a bit of a mentor figure for me. But we're also very close friends. And so I sit down and she almost rudely says, did you just stuff a bunch of pig in your hand to eat? And I turn around and I say, I don't like the tone by which you asked that question. I feel like you're asking it with judgment. Why don't you ask again, but without the judgment? And she said, okay. Hey, Glenn, did you put a bunch of pig in your hand, and are you planning to eat it right out of your hand? To which I said, yes, I am. And went for it. And I just feel like the judgment that I heard in her voice...
Right.
Now project that for the rest of the internet.
It's still not... I'm just trying to... it's hard to think of something as bad as picking at a hot dog, dipping it in your beer. I'm trying to think...
I think that's the weird factor, right? Like, I get judged for things like
you're still eating normal food.
When I do my Thanksgiving leftovers, I do not put cranberry sauce on the Thanksgiving leftover sandwich, not because I don't love cranberry sauce. I do enjoy a good cranberry sauce. Cranberry relish, 10.5. I just say, I know what condiment I prefer. I prefer barbecue sauce. That's what I like. And I get judged for that because I put barbecue sauce on my Thanksgiving leftovers. Well, any normal human being in a normal world would put barbecue on their turkey. Like if you go to the pit beef stand and you get a nice pit turkey, are you smothering it in cranberries or are you putting barbecue sauce on it? You know you like it better, but yet every year we get the day after Thanksgiving, and I do it in part to piss people off. I post a picture, and everybody, now, yes, I also put some smashed potatoes on top, and then I smother that in barbecue sauce. Little turkey, smashed potatoes, and barbecue sauce, and now I don't eat bread anymore, so I don't do it as a sandwich. I just do it as like a platter, and I eat it all together, and people are like, oh, this is sacrilegious. This isn't how it's supposed to work. Get bent.
Yeah, that sounds like a great meal.
It's incredible. Of course, it's incredible.
I can't complain.
It's incredible. Don't put any stuffing on it. Who puts stuffing? Who wants stuffing on a leftover Thanksgiving? The stuffing, as I always say, is the worst part. That's why we do the stuffing with the raisins. You need to do stuffing with something else in it because stuffing alone sucks. It is unnecessary. Nobody likes to talk about it. It's a conversation for another day. I've been completely sidetracked here. That's my fault. I apologize. I'm saying that we, I think, accept things as being normal in our lives that the general population would not find quite as normal. I'll give you an example. Mark Tenley was willing to share his. He said, I would rather it be the food thing. I think of my weirdest, maybe cookies on pizza. Yeah, bro, that's weird.
Yeah.
A lot of y'all have some weird pizza things where you're like, I smother my pizza in ranch. Get out of here, you child. Remember how much we killed the former president? Like, there were a lot of embarrassing things about the former president. But remember how much we killed him for finding out that, like, he liked his steaks well done and with ketchup? Imagine there is something like that you do that you're like, all right, I know you're going to make fun of me for this, but I do it this way. People put ketchup on their eggs. That is a thing that exists where people get eggs at breakfast and they put ketchup on it. And now you're that guy. That's going viral for whatever reason. You're not the only one, and you don't get why it's going viral, but it is. You're out there. You're ketchup on the eggs guy. And you might say, I still stand by it. Hot dog straw guy might stand by it, despite the fact that now the rest of the world has tried it and been like, dude, this is nothing. Like, he might stand by it. You might stand by it, but the rest of the world is mocking you for that. Mocking you relentlessly. I have no idea, Mark, why you would put cookies on your pizza. You're an insane person. What is that?
Ranch is better than cookies, at least.
Maybe, but
no, it is.
You're trying to justify it, and that makes me fear that you're someone who has put ranch on your pizza.
I don't seek out ranch.
I'm terrified that what you're doing right now is low-key admitting that you're not opposed to ranch on pizza.
No, I'm not opposed.
Because ranch on pizza is disgusting. So when you say that it makes more sense, neither one of them makes any sense. Like, you're comparing...
some pizzas cut. Like, what if you get a buffalo chicken pizza?
But that's a different scenario, Griffin. That's where you might drizzle ranch on top of that because I'm talking about the people that dip their pizza in ranch.
Right, yeah.
Or dip their pizza
that's a lot.
in...
That is a lot.
I swear to God, I want to strangle my children right now. I won't, but I want to because we go to the brewery sometimes, and they always like to get the pizza from the brewery, and they ask for ketchup to dip their pizza in. No! I'm putting my foot down. I've got to be a parent at some point. Someone's got to step in, or else I'm going to call Child Protective Services and tell them they should take my kids away from me. Someone's got to be better at this. Got kids dipping their pizza in ketchup. What's going on? No. Not going to happen. All right, number 3.
Last thing on this, the glizzy straw guy, whoever I guess posted the video, somebody DM'd them and they're like, this guy comes into our casino all the time. And he does exactly that. He pokes a hole in his hot dog and he like drinks a beer.
I mean, I definitely didn't think it was the first time he ever tried it was at the baseball game. That's an awfully expensive hot dog and beer to be trying something for the first time at the baseball game. You've clearly committed to this. Hey, some news. Maryland's announced some non-conference football games for the future couple years, including in 2025 they will host Towson in College Park.
Good, yeah, because it got canceled in 2020.
And so the last time it happened was when Towson was really good and Maryland was really, really bad. And Towson was very much in that game into the second half. Was very into that game late. And in fact, like I remember, it was the success of the season. It wasn't the year they went to the national championship game. That was the year they beat UConn, I believe.
Yeah.
But it was one of the better, one of the years when they made the NCAA tournament. I remember at the end of the year, like, Rob legitimately was very casual in being like, yeah, but we should have beat Maryland. And I was like, dude, that's a hell of a standard.
I love Rob.
Yeah, I mean, I like Rob too. They announced they will also play a home-and-home with Wake Forest. So
yeah, they played at Wake Forest like 2 years ago.
Maryland did?
I
was going to say Towson. Maryland hasn't played Wake Forest since they've been in the ACC.
Yeah.
And that's only relevant if Sam Hartman somehow stays in school for another decade, and I don't think he's going to do that. So the likelihood of Wake Forest being relevant, unfortunately, is slim to none. Just not likely. All right, anyway, number 3, would you rather? The thing ends or it continues. It's basically as simple as that.
I'm all in. I mean, it's so much fun. I want to see him keep winning. If I have to pick one, I'd rather see the Ravens win a football game, especially when it's part of an absurd streak that. So my pick is I think we might as well bet on them again Saturday.
End it now.
And,
now.
Let's continue it for another 365 days.
Don't ever want to talk about it again. I had some other things I was thinking about writing my column about on Sunday night for PressBoxOnline.com. I wanted to write about how much I enjoyed the Little League Classic and how much I wanted baseball to consider other opportunities for these one-off games. I wanted to write about the Steve Young thing and how stupid it was that we were overreacting to someone who has so little knowledge of what's going on with the Ravens. And no disrespect to a Hall of Fame quarterback, but the idea that Steve Young has any clue of anything at all that's happened with the Ravens is so preposterous that we should be embarrassed by the air that we were giving it. I wanted to write about those things, but I was just I kept looking at people trying to make stories out of the Ravens preseason win streak, and I was so flabbergasted by it. But I'm like, I have to write something, and then I'm mad at myself because now I'm giving more light to it. Oh, end it. More end it than the alternative, but a couple more people that are into it than I would have expected. More people who are like, yeah, I'm good with it just being over it. So, somebody cooked Rob Long the other day. Although Rob said it in a weird way. Like Rob said, I'm worried that we care too much about the streak, and that's why guys are playing in the fourth quarter. And to be fair, the fourth quarter is the only time I've been turning these games on because I want to see the results of the bets, and I have not seen a lot of it. I know that Travis Jones' injury was legit. He's going to miss 3 to 5 weeks, and while that's not the end of the world, it's still a bitter pill to swallow for someone that was a third round pick as somebody who's supposed to be contributing pretty quickly. So that's a bummer, and he was on the field late into that game. I don't think he was on the field because they were trying to win. I think he was on the field because he's working his way into the rotation. I have not sensed that the Ravens have done insane things to try to keep the streak alive. What they did against Denver to try to keep the other dumb streak alive was by far way more embarrassing than anything they've done with the preseason streak. That was one of the most embarrassing things you could ever do. There was no defense of it. It's an anomaly. That's all it is. I have not sensed that there's been any, even if you went back and found a game where they were like throwing the ball downfield with 30 seconds left and like purposely caring about the result of the game, like you would do that in a lot of situations.
These are guys that are still trying to win jobs here.
Right. Like you would give them the opportunity to go out and play and not just hand the ball off and not do anything because you want to get the game over with. You would still try to run plays. So I have not sensed that they've taken great risk. That would be something I would criticize them for. This isn't about criticism to me. This is just about I don't want to deal with it. I am so sick and tired of it. I am so sick of it that I just want it to be over so no one ever asks me again when I'm doing a radio hit in some other city and they're like, well, what do you make of the... Nothing! Nothing! It's not real! I just want it to be over. All right, get me your responses. At Glenn Clark Radio on Twitter, Facebook.com/Glenn Clark Radio. Everyone who responds will be registered to win a $25 gift card to Glory Days Grill. I'm not even kidding about this. I don't normally have to poop this time of day, and I feel like I have to poop, and I blame the hot dog. That's way too much information. It's just unpleasant because we now have a single bathroom here at the offices of PressBox. So it's not like when you're in a normal office and, you can just go down the hallway and no one will ever know that it was you that was pooping. We now have one bathroom. If you've got to poop, everyone's going to know.
Thank you for letting me know.
Yeah, 100%.
Might take a walk, I guess.
100%. Well, I do think that Lee, our office manager, isn't in today. So I think if there was a day where I had to poop, today might be the day to do it. Why am I doing this? I could just take a break and we come back in. We're going to get a tidbit. We're going to get tubular, and we're going to wind things down. For a Would You Rather Wednesday edition of the program, today's show brought to you by your local Toyota dealer. The Toyota Tacoma comes in a range of models and trim lines. You can choose the perfect Tacoma to reflect your unique personality and driving habits. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Tacomas from your local Toyota dealer today. Glenn Clark Radio.
Hey Birdland, arrive early at the Yard on Saturday, September 3rd, when the first 15,000 fans 15 and over will receive the first ever Orioles soccer jersey presented by Pepsi. Don't miss out on this brand new crossover kit before the Orioles clash with the Oakland A's at 7:05 at the ballpark that forever changed baseball. What better way to celebrate Labor Day weekend than with your favorite home team on a Saturday night? Great seating options are available, and tickets start as low as $15 at Orioles.com/tickets.
That first sip. That first bite. Start your day off right with a delicious breakfast at Royal Farms. Choose from a fantastic selection of fresh Royal Farms breakfast sandwiches and top it off with a rich hot cup of the freshest coffee in the world. At Royal Farms, breakfast is available day and night. It's the freshest breakfast in the world. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
Come experience Maryland's #1 sportsbook this NFL season at the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel, the ultimate place for any sports enthusiast. Take advantage of our 24/7 kiosks, massive video screens, and watch all the action from the best seat in the house. With more money paid out than anyone around, make every moment more at the new FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover, Maryland. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Please call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit mdgamblinghelp.org.
The 2022 baseball season is in full swing, and the future is brighter than ever for your Baltimore Orioles. I'm Paul Valley.
And I'm Zach Goodman.
And together we bring you the Bat Around every Saturday from 10 a.m. to noon with everything you need to know about the Orioles and baseball as a whole. From veterans like Cedric Mullins, Austin Hayes, and Ryan Mountcastle,
to young stars like Adley Rutschman, Grayson Rodriguez, and DL Hall.
We've got you covered for every game, every pitch,
and every debut.
You can watch us at youtube.com/PressBoxOnline and Facebook.com/PressBoxSports, or you can listen at PressBoxOnline.com/radio. So join us live on the Bat Around every Saturday from 10 a.m. to noon right here at PressBox Sports.
Summer is in full swing, and so is the summer seasonal menu at Glory Days Grill. Start with the opener, flash fried pork belly with their popular Korean No. 2 sauce, and try their South Carolina barbecue chicken, or back by popular demand, the lobster roll with grilled corn. Also try the irresistible crab and lobster fries, or the very berry salad with chicken. And for dessert, the Cracker Jack sundae with a waffle, ice cream, and Cracker Jacks. This menu will be gone. Find out more and get your order in at glorydaysgrill.com. Glory Days Grill, great food, good sports.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now. On the cover, Bo Smolka profiles Ravens tight end Mark Andrews' path to NFL stardom, from his late decision to play the sport full-time through having to overcome type 1 diabetes and more. Also, inside, we introduce you to football players at Maryland, Navy, Towson, and Morgan State. And we give you everything you need to know for betting football this season. Press Box is available for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farm stores. And you can always find the entire edition, as well as the best daily coverage of the Demos, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
It's statistically proven that the show sounds better if you're not wearing pants. Like me. Right now. You're listening to Glenn Clark Radio.
All right, back in here on GCR as we wind down for a Wednesday edition, a Would You Rather Wednesday edition of the program, which has been brought to you by Glory Days Grill. Let's go ahead and get a tidbit. Tidbit is brought to you by Swagger. Hope you're playing with Swagger. Play with swagger.com/pressbox. 3 things that are crucial to me that you should know about Swagger. The first, you still can't bet on your phone or your computer in the state of Maryland, and you're not going to be able to for a while. A lot of people are like, well, maybe football season will be. Nope. Now, it might come at some point during football season, maybe, but it ain't coming in time for the start of football season. So what you can do is feel like you're betting by playing with player props and parlays when you play with Swagger. So that's the first thing that really stands out to me. The second thing that stands out to me that's significant about Swagger is that you don't have to. When we say the word parlay, you're used to in betting circumstances, you have to hit every leg of a parlay like Griffin did with his gratuitous grouping last week in order to be able to win that bet. That's not the way it works with Swagger. With Swagger, you're simply trying to earn points. So you're playing these player props, and they're worth certain point values. So depending on how many you play, there's a point value that if you hit, you win money. Now, if you hit all of the legs, you're going to get more points, and you're going to win more money. But you can go 7 for 10. You could go 3 for 5 and still earn enough points that you win not only your money back, but more money on top of that. It is a parlay, but your ticket is not a traditional parlay bet. You can win. You don't have to be. Sorry, hang on a sec. There was a phrase that they liked using, and I'm trying to remember what the phrase was. You can be all right without being all right. Like something. There's some phrase like that they like to say, and I like that phrase. You don't have to do that. So that's the second thing that stands out. And the third one, which is a big one, we're giving you the money. Giving it to you. What are you doing? Go to playwithswagger.com right now /pressbox to get signed up. Playwithswagger.com /pressbox and sign up. And when you do, you're getting $10 for free. You can make 10 $1 bets out of that. You can make one $10 bet, whatever you want to do. But that ain't all. They're also matching up to $100, your first deposit. So you could get up to $110 free. Free money. And you might never play with your own money. You might win forever on free money. Worst case scenario, you play with $110 of free money and then you sort of say, I'm not sure this is for me. You could always choose to cash out your money. I would like to hope that you're not. I mean, Griffin's teetering with it. Like, he's really struggling playing.
Yeah.
But I'd like to hope that you don't struggle as badly as Griffin does. That you're winning, and especially as we get into football season. Look, we've been talking about it during baseball season. We've been having some fun. But I'm planning every week to put together football tickets. I'm planning to really dive into this with Ravens games, things like that. I've had a lot of fun playing with Swagger. I know you will as well. And again, free money when you go to playwithswagger.com /pressbox. What you got?
Okay, so more Albert Pujols tidbits because he's awesome and he's going to reach 700. So we're all hoping for that. And so
it is a cool. I'm not a huge Albert Pujols guy. You know, I'm not anti Albert Pujols.
Right.
I do remember like the Cardinals fans being smug, and I remember having like a feeling that if we played in the National League, we'd hate the Cardinals the way that we hate the Red Sox and the Yankees. But I don't have anything against Albert Pujols. I'm just not like, a number one. He was never my guy the way that like Ken Griffey was my guy. Like he just, because he was, he's not a complete baseball player. He's a complete hitter, obviously. He's one of the greatest hitters I've ever seen. But the guys that entertained me the most as baseball players were the guys that did other things.
All right, well, so, yeah, as you said, he hits, and I should have done it yesterday because before last night, Adley Rutschman was still could have been one of my answers, but he fell out of the top 10 of this list. But so the list is, since the All-Star break, there are 9 players with an OPS over 1,000, and leading the pack, and it is not even close, Albert Pujols with a 1.422 OPS since the All-Star break with a minimum of 50 plate appearances. So my question is, can you name the next 8 guys who have an OPS of over 1,000 since the All-Star break? There's 2. I'll ask for 6 of the 8 because there's 2 that I think there's just no shot.
All right, so guys who are OPSing over 1,000 since the All-Star break.
Yes.
I'm going to guess Aaron Judge is still one of them.
Aaron Judge is number 2, 1.275.
I can't believe there's someone higher on the list than Aaron Judge.
Albert Pujols, dude. He just...
he's the only one that's
yeah.
Oh, okay, got it.
He's the only one above.
Got it. So, how about Yordan Alvarez?
Yordan Alvarez is a good guess, but not the correct Astro.
Not the correct Astro. Correct Astro would then be Altuve?
It is not Altuve.
It would be Bregman.
It would be Alex Bregman.
Okay.
Having a very good second half, 1.045 OPS.
We, of course, will see the Astros this weekend as the Orioles are in Houston. Goldschmidt.
There you go. Yeah, my swagger hero, Paul Goldschmidt.
Well, he didn't get you a win. He just made it less embarrassing.
Yeah, he made it less embarrassing.
Devers.
Rafael Devers, not over 1,000. See how he's doing. I don't know if he's above 900.
Bum. Austin Riley.
Austin Riley's a good guess, but he is not on there. There is an Atlanta Brave, though.
There is an Atlanta Brave. Is it Michael Harris?
Not Michael Harris. He's a good guess. It is another rookie, though.
Another rookie. A Braves rookie. That's
not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure if you've heard of this guy. They called him up, I guess, like right after the break.
Called him up right after the break.
It might have even been a little bit. He barely qualifies because he's right at 54 plate appearances in this second half.
All right, tell me.
Vaughn Grissom, the
Oh,
shortstop.
of course I've heard of him. I definitely should have got. God, that's actually embarrassing for me. Damn.
Vaughn Grissom been crazy.
Yeah,
he's
batting
batting 420.
I actually did know that. Like, legitimately knew that.
14 games that he's played. 21 hits in 14 games.
Arenado?
Yes, Arenado on the list. 1,050 OPS. 2 more guys batting. Okay, so 3. Looking for 3 more guys.
Shohei
is close, but he's not over 1,000. 982.
I mean, I'm just guessing names now. Give me something.
Let's see. I'm trying to think. The one that you should be able to get.
Lindor.
Not Lindor. He has been very good, but not over 1,000. We played him last night. The Orioles did on the White Sox.
Jimenez.
Yep, Eloy Jimenez. 1,017.
Has there been an
OPS.
update on him yet today?
Not that I've seen.
Okay.
Not that I have seen. And the next 2 guys, you're not going to get them. Jake Fraley from the Cincinnati Reds, 1,089, and then outfielder for the Dodgers, Trace Thompson. He has been.
I believe it.
Yeah, he's been killing it.
I believe it. I'm looking for an update on Eloy Jimenez. I have not seen one as of yet.
Yes, but Adley just inside the top 15, 969 OPS, and Jorge Mateo in the top 25, 929 OPS since the second half began.
From oh my God, so Chris Restar comes in and he's just telling us all of his embarrassing food things. Peanut butter and sriracha is amazing. There's no better sandwich for a quick lunch. I'd be willing to try it. I do love sriracha and I do love peanut butter. I mean, I don't eat sandwiches anymore, but I'd be willing to listen. Like, I'd be willing to listen. Also, sharp cheddar on apple pie is amazing.
No.
As are fries and blueberry jam. I actually think that's probably true. Like that, jam is weird to me. But I'll give you an example. There was a local establishment that did a sandwich that you were supposed to dip into this cranberry sauce, but it was like a thinner cranberry sauce, and it was so good. The way that you would dip a sandwich into an au jus, like this was, they would just dip your sandwich into this. Instead, it was like a turkey thing, and I ended up always dipping the fries in there as well. Like, the fries with a sweet sauce always tends to work, so I actually believe that is effective. This dude is just going in. I mean, he's just going in on
he's just got all of the...
Like, he just wants to bring out all of his embarrassing food moments that he's going to get caught on for Would You Rather Wednesday. All right, here's coming up Totally Tubular-wise. Totally Tubular is brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel. Still time for you to think about moving your fantasy football draft to the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel. I would encourage you to do it 1 week from this Saturday, week 1 of college football season. The place to be, the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel. All of the games, bet on them. Great lineup of college football games in week 1. Bet on all of them while you host your fantasy draft. It just seems like the most immaculate way. The great food from Sports and Social. And they'll hook you up. If you email events at sportssocialmd.com, they'll make you a couple offers, things they'll do for you if you host your fantasy draft there. Hello. Again, events, the hot dog. Events at sportssocialmd.com. Tonight, Orioles, White Sox, Game 2. It's on MASN 2. It's also on Fox Sports 1 tonight. So 2 national TV games in the last 3 for the Baltimore Orioles. Very interesting. Lucas Giolito, Spenser Watkins, the pitching matchup. So again, on paper, does not favor the Orioles, and the Orioles almost certainly will not be able to. I mean, like, I guess there's a situation where Batista, like, if they're in a bind, if they're in a pinch, they had to put him out there, maybe get a final out or something like that. They could do it, but I can't fathom they should be pitching Felix Batista tonight.
How many pitches did he throw to you? There's no way. There's no way.
I mean, it wasn't. I want to say it was something like 30.
There's no way. At least you're asking for disaster. I mean,
yes, I get it. You certainly
27,
yeah. But if a scenario were to present itself,
maybe 1 out,
where correct, you just needed a strikeout in a late inning situation, could you call upon Felix? But I don't think you're putting him in the ninth inning to start the ninth inning of a 1-run game tonight. I don't think you're doing that. I think they're saying he ain't pitching. But if he responds well and they get into that scenario and it's either we do this or we put out, which one of the Cionel Perez didn't pitch much last night, right? Like he only faced
faced one.
Yeah.
Oh no, he faced 3 batters.
But
he only got 1 out. He only recorded 1 out, but I think he faced 3 batters.
I almost wonder if they have to make a roster move today.
I know, because
who else?
Vesby's still down, right? So we could recall Vesby.
Is he still down or is he back? Oh, God, it's so hard.
I know.
They've
been tossing him around.
I know, right? It's so hard for me to remember each.
Baker threw 6 pitches, Tate threw 11, Perez 15.
So look, I mean, those guys could all pitch tonight. So it's not like they don't have anybody at their disposal. All of those guys could pitch tonight. Do they need to call? Yeah, Vesby's on the roster again. Okay. So their bullpen right now: Aiken, Baker, Head, Vesby, Tate, Perez. Like they've got. Batista's really the only one that's not available. They don't have to make a roster move tonight. They don't have to. But, considering they might have to use that bullpen, it's Spenser Watkins pitching. They might have to use a bulk of that bullpen. They might need. They might just need to get into that shuffle of guys coming in and out. That's the way it's got to go. We have to have essentially an extra 3 bullpen arms, and we're just shuffling guys in and out for the next couple of weeks in order to get through this thing. But we'll see how it goes tonight. Also tonight, or this afternoon actually, 4 o'clock on MASN for Nationals Mariners. It's also on MLB Network if you happen to live in the Cleveland or San Diego markets. MLB Network, Giants Tigers at 1, Guardians Padres at 4, Brewers Dodgers at 10. ESPN Little League World Series throughout the day. Game 3, the decider for the Connecticut Sun and Dallas Wings tonight at 9. On TBS tonight, AEW Dynamite at 8. Non-sports highlights.
Non-sports, not a whole lot. New episode of Master Chef.
I
Netflix.
watched Only Murders.
Oh, you did?
I watched it.
I'm not caught up yet.
Okay, then I'll say nothing.
Okay.
Keep going.
All right. Netflix has a couple shows coming out.
I'm trying to give some time to I Just Killed My Dad.
I Just Killed My Dad.
It's on Netflix. It is a wild story. Wild story.
Is it like a show or is it like a documentary?
It's a documentary series.
Okay.
It is. I knew nothing about it. It's based on a true story from Baton Rouge. It's wild.
Speaking of, I guess, murders, John McAfee, documentary on Netflix.
Oh, that looks unbelievable. Apparently, his girlfriend thinks he's still alive.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Says that she got like a phone call from him recently or something like that. There is. Dude, that thing looks wild as. Oh, that was definitely on my list of something that I wanted
Running
to
with
watch.
the Devil: The Wild World of John McAfee.
Yeah, that might vault ahead if I Just Killed My Dad.
A new show called Mo it's a comedy show about a Palestinian guy who lives in Texas. It looks like kind of like a sitcom. Looks like it could be funny, but it's Netflix. I haven't seen them do a ton of stuff like that, so who knows? Selling the OC, a reality real estate show in
I had
Orange
somebody
County.
tell me The Fool on Hulu.
Oh yeah, I wanted to check that out.
Is worth the time,
Okay.
so that might be on my list.
I would put that ahead of Mo.
Okay.
And then the big one on FX and Hulu tonight is Welcome to Wrexham, the series premiere with Ryan Reynolds.
But this is not scripted. This is a doc series.
Yeah, it's like a doc. Yeah.
They bought a low level football
Yeah, they're like
or
the
a
fifth
soccer
tier
team
in Wales.
and this is a doc series about that. Which I like those guys, so I want to believe it's entertaining, but I would rather it be a scripted show.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Rob McElhenney and Ryan Reynolds. I'd rather watch them do a scripted buddy cop show. Or
I'm
something
sure a
like
lot
that.
of it will be sort of set up.
I'm sure there'll be.
bits.
Okay, I mean, I get it. Every reality show is set up, but I would just rather. I don't like that. I would just rather a scripted show. That's all. Will I watch it?
Wait for what people say, I guess.
That's sort of where I am. That is sort of where I am with that. Is like, you didn't even mention the real one that's important tonight. Jesus, what are you doing?
What's the real one?
Hello?
Archer?
Yes!
Season
what
13.
in the hell?
Season 13 premiere of Archer is, of course, on FXX.
Jesus Christ.
Apologize to all the Archer fans, like Glenn.
All of humanity? It's like the most enjoyable television program that exists. What's wrong with you?
All right, I'm sorry.
Thanks to no one. Thanks to Tim Barbalace for stopping by. Thanks also to David Schoenfield and Joon from ESPN. We'll get all that up in the greatest hits section of the tab at glennclarkradio.com. Drew Forrester is going to join us in studio tomorrow. We're going to talk to Judd Fabian, one of the Orioles draft picks, who's down at Delmarva. Of course, we timed this out poorly. Jackson Holliday is making his debut tomorrow for the Delmarva Shorebirds, so we should have maybe tried to wait and cash in our ask from Delmarva, but I guess we'll ask again next week. And I think Jarrett Patterson, Pilati alum, Laurel guy, of course, now running back for the Commanders. Ravens play the Commanders on Saturday. We'll catch up with Jarrett Patterson, who's I've been on with a couple times over there. I really like Jarrett Patterson. He's a hell of a player. He was a lot of fun to watch in college. Put up video game numbers.
Oh, my God.
And so I've always thought that, like, with more of an opportunity, he could break through in the NFL. I don't know if that's going to come. We will see. Commanders drafted another running back, unfortunately, this year, so I don't know. Just don't know if he's ever going to get that opportunity, but I really like him, and I'm rooting for him. So we'll talk to him tomorrow as well. Ken Niumatalolo might be tomorrow, might be Friday, but we're going to preview Navy with Ken Niumatalolo. So at some point in the next 2 days. Thanks to everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including our friends at Glory Days Grill, Royal Farms, Costas Inn, Great 8's Memorabilia, FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel. Visit Howard County, the Baltimore Orioles, your local Toyota dealer. BuyAToyota.com. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Thanks to Ryan at RexSpexRyan. Follow us, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great Wednesday evening. Go Birds. Duke sucks. Ohio State sucks too.